Folks, this is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
What's going on? What's up, good people? What's up, good people? We in the building, and true to form, I spilled coffee like I do every day. Trying to get set, trying to get things started. And lo and behold, I spilled some coffee. But let's get things going. Let's get things started. What is going on? What is up? Welcome to the show. Appreciate each and every one of you. I see people already. Man, my man Black Wolf coming through with the super chats already. Shout out to the early bird squad, those that make it in bright and early before we even get things started here today. Shout out to all of you. Test the coffee early, and it's good. It's piping hot, and it's good. I'm about to get the things started. Al Boogie in the building said, "Man, B Diddy, you are going to be lit today, effery overload." Nah, we will a little bit, but possibly. We'll see. We'll definitely see. Daryl L in the building says, "Peace to the chat and BR." Sir Tice in the building. I'm curious if it's the one dude who's on Concrete and Sister George's show. Absolutely. That's the guy. That is the guy. Mr. Negative Man says no. I think that actually remind me of a commercial with the guy, the most interesting man on earth. You know those damn, I almost forgot. I had coffee all on my phone. Shout out to Black Wolf Inc. Just sent the Cash App as well. Shout out to Black Wolf Inc. Just also sent the Cash App. I'm reminded of those commercials, the most interesting man in the world. I don't always drink beer, but when I do, I prefer Dos Equis. They used to ask him random questions, and they had asked him something about what's your thoughts on, I don't know if they said skinny jeans or fanny packs, and he just looked up, no. And then just went back to drinking and chilling with the ladies. It's like they didn't ask him a yes or no question. He just was like, no. That's what that no reminded me of right there. Mike and Vince Perkins in the building. That's kind of weird that I gotta collect code. Well, maybe I should click on that and see if I got a channel. I don't know what's going on there because it's two of you and two names. So two people got a channel, a collab channel. But if y'all just chat rooming it up with a collab thing, that's weird. But if y'all got an actual channel, okay, cool. Male feminists, yes, they exist. More of them than what you think. Because I'm gonna get into that. Please make sure old man is in the building. He might be in the building. We'll see. Stoic one says, "Morning BR in chat." JDM in the building. Men have so many issues, and you choose to be a male feminist. Why not be a mentor to young men? Good point there. Logan JJ says this should be good. Apple Girl says it's about to be lit. Xander with the Z in the building. Yes, I switched the time up from 9:05 to 9:15. I do that sometimes. Trying to work my way down to the super chats. All right, shout out. We're about to get things started here. He says, Black Wolf Inc. in the building with a $10 super chat says, let's get the party started. Let's definitely get the party started.
What do we get for $10? Everything you want. Everything? Everything. You.
The server says, Black Manosphere, I present to you the ladies of Itmore. I don't know if that's right or wrong what you did there. Shout outs to the Broke Down, a super delusional perspective. You know, this ain't about them today. This is about their guests. They say enough that's problematic. It was some things that they said there that could be tweaked out and problematic. I mean, but hey, man, this is more about their guest. This is more about their guest. Well, shout out to Black Wolf in the building with the $5 super chat. Shout out to Clue, says happy broke down day BR. All right, and Michael Ross in the building. Oh shoot, I got the speaker on. Hopefully my audio is good because that speaker shouldn't be on. See, I probably was hearing double everything. Hopefully not. But Michael Ross in the building with a $5 super chat. Appreciate that. Shout out to you. All right, we about to get this thing going. About to get this thing all the way live. About to get it all the way live up in here. Going to bring up a share screen. Oh, that's too big. That's better. Let me know something. I need to know if y'all can hear what's being said. If y'all can't hear this, I got another way of pulling it up. So hold on real quick. Let me see. Let me know if y'all can hear what I'm about to click play. So let me know if y'all can hear this right now. Could y'all hear that? Where the guy said, well, I think you said no audio before I even tested it. When he said, let's start with the definition, could y'all hear that or no? All right, I'm gonna give y'all one more second. If not, I gotta do my other method. Okay, I'm getting a lot of no's. I think y'all came in too early with the no's. All right, so everybody's saying no. Okay, cool. So I gotta do it. Gotta do it a different way. No big deal. No big deal at all. No big deal at all. All right, thank you for being very responsive down there in the chat. I appreciate it. Let me get rid of that. All right, give me 1 second. It's going to take approximately 30 seconds, maybe not even that. This is going to take approximately 30 seconds, maybe not even that. All right. Now, yeah, definitely we'll be able to hear this now. So now I'm about to do another test run.
All right. So first of all, let's start with the definition.
Okay, y'all could hear the man saying, first of all, let's start with the definition, correct? Y'all could hear that, right? Just making sure y'all could hear that. I did it a little different. So let me know for sure if y'all could hear that, and then we can move forward. Everybody give me a 1 and a yes. Okay, good. Appreciate you. Appreciate all you fine folks that let me know. Xander with the next thing, good to go. Aegon Star, Jesse Ravon, Black Wolf, Stoic, Sir Tice, Michael Ross, all of y'all saying good to go. So that means we good to go. All right. That means we are good to go. So the backstory here, for those that don't know, the Broke Down Women had a male feminist on their show who they gave an interview to. He's a self-identified black male feminist. He's not somebody who we're just charging up with being a feminist. He's an actual card-carrying, self-identified black male feminist who even talked about how he essentially went, he's talking like he studied it. Like that's his thing, And so they gave him an interview where he said a lot of crazy stuff. And I'm not going to play the whole thing because I think it was like an hour or so interview, and then they open the panel up and whatnot. You know the basic routine with that. So what I did, I clipped out the parts of what he said that I wanted to respond to. I condensed everything down to about 17 minutes because I didn't want to have to make y'all listen to the whole thing. I edited it out to where y'all going to even barely hear the Broke Down Women speak. More so just going to be hearing what he's talking about. Going to be breaking down, picking apart the things that were wrong with what he was saying. Like Wolf saying, it's a good thing I didn't watch the live stream. I mean, I'm not saying don't watch it. I'm just saying, hey, you might get some enjoyment out of it. Who knows? But I'm just giving those that don't know the backstory of what was going on and ultimately what happened there and how it was going down. So without further ado, we're about to get this thing started and about to dig right into this. They had started out, I think the first question was something along the lines of, they asked him, why are you a male feminist? And here we go.
All right. So first of all, let's start with the definition, because I think a lot of people don't understand how a man could be a feminist because they never looked up the definition, or they don't care about what the definition is. A lot of words are trigger words for some of us. I think everyone has a word maybe that triggers them, and maybe because of their cultural background or the cultural situation or whatever's going on in their life, certain words make people feel a certain way that are not necessarily related to what that word really means.
Okay. First thing first, right out the gate, let's make one thing very clear. No group of men votes for the Democratic Party the way that black men do. Black men vote for the Democratic Party more harder, more stronger, more committed than everybody. They talk about the voting block that black women are and how much of a voting block that the Democratic Party can depend on for black women. Well, the second biggest voting block that sway the same way at the highest percentage rate is black men in their allegiance to the Democratic Party. Now, in the manosphere, yes, we push back against that. We fight against that in the manosphere. Shout out to Angry Man. He did a really good stream saying, out of all the differences that we, can go back and forth on, but that people still, a part of the group. He actually made a case that being a card carrying Democrat, that's something that we should run people out of the space for. I don't want to. Hate to misquote him. So let me just pump the brakes on that. So I'm paraphrasing, but he said that's more or less an act of treason. Shout out to the Hood Conservative. He's talked about that, how you could, how we're going to talk about everything that's going wrong in the black community, everything that's going wrong with our women, and how the relationships between black men and black women and everything out there, everything that we talk about in this space, the Democratic Party is at the root of a lot of it. Democratic Party is the party of feminism. The Democratic Party is the party that ultimately enables a lot of the things that a lot of more conservative-minded men who talk about the issues that we talk about in this space. Democratic Party is the party that enables a large percentage of that. And I'm being generous. I'm being very generous by just saying a large percentage. Because there's some stuff left to their own devices, regardless of the laws they would do anyway, but it's the Democratic Party enables a lot of it. The Democratic Party is the party of feminism. It's hard to really deny that or get around that. And for black men to vote the Democratic Party at the rate that black men do, then you have to conclude that we're in the midst of lots of black male feminists all the time. I wasn't a card-carrying, self-identified feminist in the sense that that the guy that we're going to be talking about here is, but I was technically a feminist. I was. When I voted Democrat, when I voted liberal, and I look at all my ideas and views and this or that or blah blah blah. I even enunciated the words before. I even said it out loud before. Once upon a time, I used to think very similar to how this guy thinks. And that speaks firmly to the case of how, yes, we do need to be talking and speaking up. But you're not going to change this person. You're not going to change that person. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. No. Yeah, we do need to put our words out into the ether. They need to be heard. Somebody needs to hear it. Somebody probably needs to pick it up. Somebody needs to listen to it, because hearts and minds can get changed all the time. But so as far as him trying to make it seem like people just get emotionally wrapped up when they hear feminism and they like, just break out the pitchforks over feminism. No. We around feminists all the time. Any group of people that vote for the Democratic Party at the rate that we do, and why we do, I mean black people as a whole, black men and black women, there's some hardcore feminism going on in the black community. Hardcore feminism going on in the black community. But let's get back to the not so beautiful being footage.
And thank goodness we have a dictionary. And so the definition of feminism that I like to use is feminism is a philosophy that is about equality of the sexes. That's it. That's a very simple definition. Feminism is about a philosophy about the equality of the sexes.
Okay. Feminism is a philosophy about the equality of the sexes. This is a very important part, because I'm going to have to throw it back to this a number of times. Because if you say feminism is a philosophy about the equality of the sexes, okay? Shout out to Black Wizard. He did super chat. Then he basically, I'm going to phrase it my way, but I do want to shout him out because this is what he was getting at. Then why call it feminism? You can call it egalitarianism. And egalitarianism is the thought and the view that all people are equal and should be ultimately treated equally. That's what egalitarianism is. That's what it is. But when you look at feminism, yes, you can have the definition as it is. And one time he got a little rough and hardcore with people. He was like, if you're arguing with me about what feminism is, you're not arguing with me, you're arguing with the Webster Dictionary. And nobody ever lost a debate to a dictionary. Well, okay, well, definitions can be flawed. Definitions can be flawed, and I'm going to actually prove that as the stream goes on, that this definition is definitely flawed, that it's about equality of sexes. Because if it was about equality of sexes, you wouldn't put the name of one sex in it. You would do it in a way where all sexes, all genders, everybody would be included in it. But seeing as men are not included in that definition, you can't say that it's about equality of the sexes, because what happens when something isn't equal for men. And we're going to see later in the stream what happens when something isn't equal for men in the position that he takes when something isn't equal for men.
It does not mean that women should dominate men, which is what most people assume. And I think that's a fair thing that people assume, because if you say human beings have been on Earth for 150,000 years, some scientists say 2, but let's just do 150,000. So for 149,060 years, men have dominated society. And now in the last 40 years, women have started to gain some legal rights to be equal, to be more equal, if not equal, to be more equal. Well,
okay. Whenever somebody goes that far into history to where he didn't go far into history. He went beyond prehistory. He went back to, we weren't even full blown Homo sapiens. He went back to Homo erectus. If you're talking about 200,000 to 150,000 years, I mean, it wasn't society, it wasn't civilization, it was history. History is defined as something happened and humans were able to write about it. So when you're going back pre-civilization and talk about men have dominated society for all that time. It's like, yeah, of course. We were very simple people, didn't have a complex civilization that we lived in. So what do you more or less expect? You expect the stronger of the group to dominate. And what did that domination ultimately consist of? Were women and children able to fend themselves off from saber-toothed tigers or a pack of wolves? Were women and children able to defend themselves off from that? So those men who you're talking about who dominated for so long, what were they dominating for? Even when you get up a little more recently, you want to talk about 10,000 years from now, if men were dominating, which they legitimately were. They legitimately, no doubt, were dominating. Yeah, if we're talking 10,000, 5,000 years, another group of men show up with with sharp tools. Those dominating males, who did they pick up their sharp stones and sticks to protect? So it's silly when you even talk about it from that perspective, because we're living in a wild, damn near. We're living in a might makes right type of living. If you're going back 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 years, which he did, it's like, but he's talking about that men have dominated for that long, as if it was some little equal rights initiatives or such stuff getting shot down. No, women wanted men dominating back then. Them men dominated and doing what they had to do is ultimately what kept them alive and food in their stomach. So it's just a weird thing to even go back that far with it, to try to say that men had a 150,000 year head start, because we were okay, I don't like to say we were, because I don't like to take credit for what men did 100,000 years ago or 50,000 years ago. But come on, men going out to hunt, getting ate by wild animals, starving in the wood. I mean, come on, it gets silly when you talk about men. Who were they doing that for? For the damn women and children. It just gets ridiculous when that starts happening. Okay, Mike and Vince Perkins in the building says feminism is about equality of choice, not outcome. Secondly, we're brothers with a podcast show. I kind of thought so. Because I was like, if y'all don't got a podcast show or nothing like that, yeah, that's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. Hold on, Obsidian. Hold on. Let me finish my presentation before we get into that. But shout out to Mike and Vince Perkins. Sunjata Reborn, the Webster definition, is a marketing ploy. Yes, it is, and I'm gonna actually prove that. No, he's gonna prove it with his own words. He's gonna cook himself with his own words. He's gonna prove that it truly is just a marketing ploy. There's a lot of different definitions out there. Of feminism. It is, but when they try to say it's about equality of the sexes, then they wouldn't call it feminism. What's the word that God's chosen uses for people that say anti-Semitic? Yeah, I don't even want to say the word. I don't want to trigger the algorithm, but it's like saying anti-Semitic. I'm botching word. Semitic, anti-Semitism, whatever. I understand what I'm trying to say. I'm botching the words here. When you talk for a living, you find out that you can't talk. There's certain words you can't say. But being anti-Semitic, that's like saying that whole schism there is about equality and fairness for all ethnic groups. But you put the name, but you identify one ethnic group in the name. That's the catch-all equality for all groups. You see the problem there? So yeah, it is some serious wordplay. Shout out to you for the $2 super chat, though. Appreciate you.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
Anti-Semitism. Yeah, I be fumbling on words in the morning. I apologize. Deal with it. Ace and spades. You know what I was trying to say. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to everybody in the building. All right. Where we at?
If you've dominated for so long and then all of a sudden things are going in the opposite direction, you will feel pressure. You may feel uneasy. You may feel like you don't like it. And so people associate feminism with women dominating.
And another thing is, I hate the when you've dominated for so long thing. The reason I hate that is one thing that I point out on this show, that if we have this open market of capitalism, every man is not the master of the universe. Most men work for another man and roll up his sleeves and work and make his money to try to put food on the table for a family. That's what most men are doing. We can talk all we want about the amount of black men that are single and childless, but I mean, ultimately, when a man gets his stuff together, we're not debating whether or not he should or shouldn't do this. Shout out to Ramil. We're not debating that right now. We're not debating that at all on this show. But typically, when a man does get his stuff together, that's typically what he wants to do. He wants to get a family. He wants to take care of a woman and his children. That's typically what a man wants to do. He wants to take care of a woman and make some children and take care of them. When a man gets his stuff together, that's typically, not all the time, but typically, that's what he wants to do. When you're talking about when as men you've dominated for so long. When I had a conversation with Charday, good conversation, by the way. She cool people. She said that when she found out about the manosphere, the first thing that popped in her head was the notion that, wait, hold on, men need their own space. Men run the world. They dominate everything. Well, why do they need their own little separate thing? And I was like, and she, listened to 50 hours of Kevin Samuels and a lot of other stuff in the manosphere. And she ultimately came to understand a lot of things. But then this was like 2 months ago. So I had to tell her that, okay, so about 2 months ago, you were a feminist. I called her a recovering feminist right now. And she probably still is to some degree. She's probably a recovering feminist. And that's good. I'm fine with that. Her, she's learning, but he's talking the same exact way. Well, men have been dominating for so long. Okay, bro, are you dominating? Or are you just another cog in the machine? I mean, you're a man. What are you dominating? What are you running other than your own household? If you're running, okay, we're not getting personal, but I say that about all men. Only thing the average man, or even above average man, is running is his own household. And if he's running that's debatable. So whenever somebody makes that argument about men are dominating and running the world, as if Barack Obama or Senator Cory Booker's power that they have in their positions that they've held had anything to do with me strapping on my steel toe boots and going to work at a dangerous job. Like, I mean, come on. I hate when they do that, and only female logic says that. Only women will do that, and then when men do it, it's so cringy. It's so cringy because as a man that you had to get up, roll up your sleeves, and go fight for whatever you got, whatever you own right now. You had to produce. So that's nonsense. So there's nonsense to start with the premise of, well, men have been running the world for so long, or you've been for 150,000 years. I mean, average white man walking around in America ain't really feeling all that because he's strapping on his steel toe boots too.
That is actually not practical. Women don't dominate anything anywhere. Well, we'll talk about a space where women do dominate a little bit later, but in a practical sense in society, women don't dominate. Women just want it to be equal. It's not them trying to dominate. It's them trying to get what they deserve, what they should have always had, which is fairness and equality. It's the same argument racists make against, let's just talk about African Americans because we're talking to an American audience. It's the same argument that racists make to African Americans. They said affirmative action shouldn't exist because why should African Americans have a special rule? If they get special rules, then they'll take over, they'll dominate. And people today say, hey, black people should stop complaining because, hey, y'all got affirmative action, everything's okay. Well, one, it's a non.
Okay, I don't think nobody is saying that black people get special rules that they'll take over and they'll dominate, but there are legitimate arguments. You know, the Asians have made a legitimate case at some universities of how they've been treated unfairly. There are some legitimate good arguments against affirmative action. So I'm not. That's that right there. That's the tactic, and we're about to get into the meat and potatoes or the meat of this in a little bit. But that's the argument that stems from a smuggle in racism, because you know black people gonna agree and work with it and understand and connect. Let me smuggle in racism. Like, people always want to bring up slavery on a panel, want to bring up racism and oppression and all that on a panel. They want to bring up all that on a panel. It's like singing about Jesus at the Apollo. You know you're not going to get booed if you come on stage singing about Jesus at the Apollo. So I mean, like, people like to start off like, I hate when people do that. They want to start off, let's talk about some oppression, and oh damn, that's a good one. He said he massaging more without the accent. Yeah, massaging more worked on his accent. Massaging more. He practiced an American sounding accent, even though I think this dude is from the Caribbean somewhere. I don't know, something like that. I don't really care where he's from. I don't care that much about his personal life. I'm all about analyzing the words that are coming out of his mouth. And whoever said could being lazy on the likes, yes, yeah, I do need to hit the likes. There's 213 people in the building. We only got 83 on the likes. So let's get the likes up. Yeah, I didn't even listen to that part. And I didn't even want to listen to that part. Well, I heard about it. I heard the aftermath of that part because I came in very late. No, wait, hold on, let me back up. The only reason I'm doing this, I would not have heard about this. Edward Anderson did a stream where Edward Anderson was going in on this, just going, Hurricane Edward on it. And I was like, what the hell? So then that made me go back and say, let me go back and no, not let me go back. I think while he was going Hurricane Edward on it, I think the stream was still going on. So I heard him talking about how his wife kept interrupting him or whatever. But I'm removing all that from evidence. I'm removing all that from evidence. I'm not even touching on that. Not going to talk about their personal relationship dynamics or anything about their personal. Not going to do that. I like to attack ideas and not people. And we're about to break down surgically what's wrong with his ideas, and you're going to see it by the end of this thing. You're going to see exactly, wholeheartedly, 100% what was. I did hear that part. That's the part I jumped in on. Cut it out. I said I ain't going there. She allows me to. All right, we scratch that. But no, we not touching on that because it don't have to be made out to be personal attack. We just look at the ideas alone, and I'm trying to get into it. I'm trying.
Nonsensical starter, because if you enslave someone for 400 years and then you
talk about slavery, that's like singing about Jesus at the Apollo. They not gonna boo me if I sing about Jesus.
And Jim Crow for another 100 years, and then you finally say, well, hey, we will consider you for jobs that you're qualified for. That can't possibly mean that you're going to dominate, because you're finally getting treated the way you should have been treated all along. And so
you starting with the straw man, the people are saying, oh, you're going to dominate if we do that. I mean, people are basically saying it should be based on merit, and there's fine arguments on each side with the affirmative action thing. But either way, I'm going to move on past the part. I actually meant to clip that part out because I clipped out most of what was said here. I clipped out most of what was said and just tried to make sure I keep it to the good points.
Feminism is a response to male dominance, which is in every aspect of history. We know men have dominated. Feminism is asking or pushing back on the dominance, just like affirmative action is pushing back, and not even just affirmative action, civil rights, which is not only for Black people, right? Civil rights is for all people. That's pushing back against one group dominating the other group. So whenever there's dominance and a move to back to the middle, you're going to have people who feel the pressure of that move. But there's also negative things in feminism. There's some women.
Keep that in mind when he said whenever there's a push back to the middle, people are going to fight against it. Let's keep that in mind.
Some groups, even men, who take it too far. And everyone always wants to look at the negative example, right? Everyone also say, hey, look at this bad thing that happened because of this. Instead of looking at the big picture, they look at one negative example. There was one woman who got, you know, an unfair judgment in court. And so that's an example of how feminism is ruining the world.
He honestly just said that people are looking at feminism as wrong because it was one unfair ruling out there. Like that is ridiculous. We got countless cases of unfair rulings. I've had the lead attorney on here multiple times. I'm going to be referencing him multiple times during this because they're going to get into the whole child custody thing, and that's where he's really going to get exposed on that front right there. But no, I've had the lead attorney on here multiple times, and he's made it very clear that system is extremely unfair and biased towards women, bias against men. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. So if somebody is going to make it to you know, say, oh, there's one case and where a woman got something unfair, like no.
Intelligent people shouldn't think like that or talk like that. One bad example is just one bad example. There's so many more positive examples, and if you let me later on, we can go into some of the many positive benefits of feminism.
That spin around right there. That's what I did
because women are the larger part of the.
I didn't want it to be jumbled up. Y'all just saw the screen spin around like that. I didn't want it to be jumbled up when I skipped around because I didn't want to play it all straight through because it was an hour-long interview. So I edited it down to the parts I wanted to hear and the parts that I wanted to respond to. So that was when y'all see it flip like that, that's just a sign that I edited and I skipped because I don't want to make it seem like he was bouncing from subject to subject all crazy. So, you know, I just know that.
The human population, and they're also the only part of the human population that can give life. As I said earlier, happy Reggae Sunday to everyone. Sizzla Kalonji has this famous song called Black Woman and Child. And basically the song says that we are revering the Black woman and child because they are the first of humanity. The first of humanity. The first beings to be human was a Black woman and then her child.
Oh, shit.
And that was giving life.
It's literally, hold on, literally no evidence for that. The way that he explained it, there's evidence that the first people on Earth were Black. There's evidence for that. But when he say the first people on Earth was a Black woman and her child, he just tried to genetically just take the man out of the equation as if the first woman existed by herself and just gave birth by herself to a child. And those were the first people walking the earth by themselves, a woman, a Black woman, and a child. Like that's the argument that he made. And he referenced a song that says that, but then he quoted it later on in the show. So that wasn't just a one-off little thing, like it's a cute little song that says that, but no, he actually believes that. He actually believes that. Shout out to T Bryant 24. Shout out to you. He says, very biased. I tried to establish paternity, but the mother never came to DNA test nor the rule to show contempt. Judge still blamed me and dismissed the trial without prejudice. Yeah, I can go into my personal anecdote with that, but I don't even want to go into anecdote. I mean, the data is clear, and we're going to get into that later in the stream on how much it shut into to the broke down women. To their credit, they did, try to get him to come to reality when it comes to child custody issues. They tried to get him to come to reality on that one, but he wouldn't budge on it. He basically said, no, it's not unfair for men. But it's ridiculous. I mean, we could pull up evidence of a guy who was raising a kid by himself while the mom was in prison. She got out of prison and just went and got the kid and got custody just like that. Like, he's going to say so many just outright untrue things, but I don't even want to pull out just the basic anecdote. I mean, like I said, we got a divorce attorney in the manosphere now who does that thing for a living. And he knows firsthand that when men try to fight for 50-50 custody after they were married. The woman, the majority of the time pushes back, fights against him trying to get half custody, and wins regardless of the situation. And they kind of challenged him on that, to their credit, and he doubled down something vicious. He doubled down something vicious on that one. But to what he's saying about the whole little shout out to SKC. Let me know what we're doing that debate. Hopefully you're back from your vacation, your cooncation that you took with your wife. Y'all went and took a cooncation. Shout out to you. Hopefully you let me know. Let me know when the date and time when we're gonna do that debate. But so shout out to SKC back in the building. But yeah, no, so I included that part before we really get into the meat of this, because I want to just set up just the level of reverence that he seems to have for women, that he's walking around with an ideology that basically says that the first people on earth was a woman, and I guess she gave birth to a child by herself. It was a woman and a child. Those were the first human beings on earth. That's the ideology that he holds. That's the belief that he's walking around with. He literally believes that wasn't a one-off. He said it 2 or 3 times in the stream that was the first human being on earth was a black woman and a child by itself. That genetically make no sense. That's not even possible. Even when you look at mitochondrial DNA, yes, it traces it back to the oldest, in Africa, they trace it back. Old man will be coming up. Calm down with the firefighter. He already requested the link, but after I get through my presentation, I'll open it up and definitely give old man free reign to go in. The mitochondrial DNA, yes, it's the longest the oldest genetic ancestor that we have here that they could find. They could trace it back to a woman, but that doesn't mean that one woman was walking around on earth by herself and magically gave birth to a child. That's just the oldest one. That's the one that her genes are still more prominent in the gene pool. She natural selection selected her more than the others that were around. There were others that was around, but her genes survived more. For whatever reason, her offspring, her lineage outperformed and outsurvived the others, and that's how the mitochondrial DNA traces back to her. But it doesn't mean she was the first woman, and doesn't mean she was the only human walking the earth. That's not science at all. That's all like that. So it's ridiculous wherever he pulled that from. Somebody says Sister George obviously doesn't believe that nonsense. They wasn't riding with him on a lot of stuff that he said, but it was a lot of stuff where they was like, that's a good point. Oh wow, yeah. But it's a part at the end. I didn't clip it, but it was a part at the end where Concrete Rose kind of went in on him. Black women, they will get some speak some unity stuff and be completely riding for the black man if we're talking about racism against black men. Then they'll put the Ngallum black fist in the air and all of that, the Ngallum black power fist. They'll do all that, if we're talking about racism and discrimination against a black man, because he tried to even deny that. He tried to deny that, and Concrete Rose checked them on it. So yeah, black women will do that. They will put up their BLM sign. They will put their fist in the air against racism and oppression against black men. But then you tell that same black woman, okay, are you willing to, follow the lead, submit to a black man, or just generally follow the lead and be compliant with a black man for the better, greater good of the family, better, greater good of the children, and ultimately the better, greater good of the community, as really ready to get compliant and under the leadership of a black man. Then it's like that little fist come down. Wait, hold on. Wait. How much money he making? How big is his dick first? Then I answer. That's typically how I go when they start when they're asked about that kind of, to actually, support a black man in a meaningful way. But they'll hold a sign and put their fist up. Yeah, they do that. They do that all day. But all right, moving along.
To humanity. And so, as a humanist who understands that I am a human and my best chances.
Oh, and by the way, I wasn't saying that statement that I made, that wasn't directed at Concrete Rose about the that wasn't directed at Concrete Rose. That was at, black women in general that put on, that do the whole black power, Gollum black power thing.
To survive, my best chance to achieve is with other humans. Well, then I have to have that reverence for the woman, because the woman is where it begins.
So you got all the establishing the reverence for the woman. The reverence.
What does law
He
and
was
medicine
saying that men are responsible for ensuring that children make it to adulthood by certain things like protecting them, by creating different medicines to ensure that they are can maintain their health. He's saying, like, in a general sense, that men.
Oh, what the hell y'all talking about? Hold on. Nobody worrying about getting cussed up at Concrete Rose, but what y'all talking about? Don't be scared of Concrete Rose. I was just pointing out that, far as I can tell, even though it's suspect, she is on board with a man. She's engaged, and she's, I'm assuming, following the lead and being compliant. So she's not just some wayward woman who will, talk about some black power and fight against racism and this or that, but then still turn around and go be a complete utter jackass in an interpersonal relationship with a black man and call the cops on him for some bullshit or put him on child support when you know that he's a good dad who's going to take care of the kids anyway, but you want to measure of control or all of this or all that, or deny access. As far as I know, that she's not out doing that. Those are the ones I criticize. I tell you, I know personally a woman who, who spoke on the dais at a Black Lives Matter function, but then still would get off the stage and go to the courthouse and fight and to deny access to, to a good black dad trying to get access to his kids. That's what I'm talking about. As far as I know, that ain't her. So that's why I pumped the brakes and said, not necessarily talking about her, but that's why I don't really care that much if it seems like sometimes they only stand up for a black man when it's some racism on the line. Yeah, let's unite, brother. But as far as charging Concrete Rose up, I don't know her personal life to charge her up. That's all I'm saying. But I ain't anybody scared of no damn Concrete. Come on now. Come on now. I just don't like to charge people up incorrectly. That's all. Don't know the woman's personal life, so I ain't gonna charge her up.
I appreciate you clearing that up, Sister Concrete, because he's so wrong. Clearly, he hasn't read any of the history of the scientists who give us things. Anyone who could take a 2-second, the same internet that we use to have this conversation, you can switch over one tab and Google women scientists. And there are as many women scientists and as many important women scientists as there are male scientists. So the idea that men have given society the tools to
if he would have just simply said that there are a lot of women scientists and inventors that didn't get their due, then yes, that would be right. Like, I love Neil deGrasse Tyson. I watch Cosmos, and they, on a few episodes highlighted some female scientists that a lot of people don't know about. So yes, there are some that's out there, but the vast majority of the Nobel Prizes for discoveries in sciences, in science, the majority of those go to men. I know Kevin Samuels does this all the time. He say name at least 4 female inventors. People struggle to get 1 or 2, but so either way it go, you can make the simple point. That yes, there are some female inventors that we don't know about that we can stand to do a Google search on, but no. Like, come on, you can't say it's just as many. It's not just as many. Just like there's black men that have invented all kinds of things, they've done all kinds of amazing things, but just off sheer numbers, we can't say it's just as many black men that have created this than men of other races in this country or white men in this country. Just the numbers won't even add up. So we can put our little fist in the air and acknowledge our people that have done some things. But come on, man, we can't play the numbers game when it comes to that.
To get children to adulthood is the kind of ridiculous things that as a feminist I'm happy to fight against and to debunk. In this space, this is where we like to say absurd things about women. Well, I'm not supporting that. Men are not the reason that children get to adulthood.
I forgot who it was. I think Jack Spade.
You had mentioned.
Yeah, we're about to get into the good part. We're about to get into the good part right here. Yeah, I think we was talking about there. Jack Spade had mentioned that men were the reason that children make it to adulthood. He was talking about modern science, technology, and everything, and that is a major factor in the equation. But when you're talking about raising children, and I'm not even going to try to make Jack Spade's argument. I actually meant to kind of leave that part out there. The only part I wanted to even leave in there is the part where he talked about there's just as many female inventors. I just wanted to set that up before I even go further into this part right here. But overall, yes, men have built a certain type of society, and I'll say this before we even dig right into the good part here. Shout out to Mr. Shane Vitch is in the building with
these last $2. I'm not gonna lose.
Those got so many Fruit Loops. Get out of there. Shout out to Mr. Shane Vitches. All right, y'all gotta be tripping on some stuff. It is true, and we've talked about that. Men have ultimately built a society where it's easier for women and children to function without men. There was a time that came up, and I don't got the clip for this. There was a time that came up where when the panel was opened up, where he said something along the lines of, if 75% of Black women aren't married, then we have to conclude that 75% is protecting themselves. So they're protecting themselves. And it's like, no, men have built a society that's safe enough, civilized enough, and functioning enough to where women are able to outsource a lot of the protection. I mean, there's a police, the fire department, military, all the whole works. You know, they're able to ultimately outsource that. They don't need a man literally standing the post right there. I mean, it's such a civilized society that, yes, they, like I say, they can make enough money in the air conditioned cubicle in a building built by a man, in a company built by a man, make enough money to put food on the table, roof over their head, running water, electricity, and have everything that they ultimately need to get by and survive. And in situations where they do need some type of help, yes, they can call the police. They can call the police and get by. And so men have to, if we're looking at groups with gender groups, and yeah, you do got to look at the simple fact that, yeah, men built a society that makes it easy for them to say, I'm strong and can protect myself and I'm good. But that ain't really them protecting themselves, because you can go back to the 150,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago that he talked about earlier when he talked about men dominating. When he talked about men dominating for hundreds of thousands of years, guess what? There wasn't no police to call then. It wasn't no brick houses with locks on all the doors, and it wasn't no guns or nothing like that. There wasn't no police that can be called. Wasn't no rule of law, no government that will catch the people that did something wrong to you and lock them up. And when that's not in place, you strip all that civilization away, then no, they're not protecting themselves. So it's like you see how he sort of refuting or showing the flaw in his earlier point right there. But let's move along to the good part.
And well, we're talking about feminism. So with the way the laws are set up for divorce and child custody, being majority, it's going to go in the women's favor for the most part with child custody and divorce, right? Do you think that men present valid arguments when arguing against feminism?
No, and we just had a couple of great examples of how men don't even present. First of all, in this space, people don't know what the definition of feminism is. Then we go on to people saying ridiculous things like men get children to adulthood, even though that person's probably from a single family. Statistically, the chances are that person who made that comment comes from a single family home, a single parent household.
Yeah, single family, that is easier in a society that's built and established by men. It's easier for women to function by themselves and raise kids by themselves and do a horrible job at it. Men have enabled the society for women to do that. Yeah, we know that. We got it.
So there's so few good arguments. Now, you just said that men pay when it comes to getting divorced, but that's not how the law works. The law doesn't say if you're a man, you pay. And that's what this space wants to pretend that happens, that every time a divorce happens, automatically the man pays because you're a man, you have to pay. That's not what happens. You know who pays? The person who is found to be wrong, who violated the contract. Remember that marriage thing is a contract. The person who violated the contract pays. And or if you have an overwhelming income that you provided for your spouse that your spouse can't survive on anymore. So the men who are in this space arguing that men have to pay aren't taking into consideration that 99% of the time, those men are caught cheating.
He just said that men who have to pay out in a divorce, it's because 99% of the time they have been caught cheating, and that's why they have to pay out, as if no-fault divorce does not exist. People like that part just blew my mind. And not to mention the 99% of the time that men have to pay out is because they got caught cheating, or he's paying. He's going with some 99% statistic that he pulled clearly out of his ass. Some 99% cheating stat, and saying that the only reason that men get the short end of the stick in a divorce is because they've done something wrong. That is literally not how it works. That is literally not how it works. For this one, I mean, I'm trying to figure out is it crazy, ignorant, or just outright lying at that point. It could be ignorance, or it could just be just a flat out lie. It's truly hard to even determine that. Now, alimony exists, and like I pointed out before, only in 10% of marriages there's alimony. But any type of unfairness in how the judge goes about divvying up property or doing this or doing that, any type of unfairness that leans heavily in the favor of the woman, he's literally about to say that it's because the man did something wrong in the marriage, and now the judge has to punish him.
That's a contract breach. The judge looks at you breaching your contract and awards you a punishment appropriate. If you stop getting caught cheating on your wife, you won't have to pay.
If you get caught cheating, if you stop getting caught cheating on your wife, you won't have to pay. You won't, if you don't fall within the 99% of men who get caught cheating on their wife, you won't get the short end of the stick in the divorce. It has nothing to do with the behavior. In the vast majority of states in this country, behavior and conduct in the divorce has behavior and conduct in the marriage has literally no bearing on the decisions that are made. None at all. Like, that's literally, like, you can look that up and read it word for word. It literally says that the behavior and conduct has nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with the judge's decision. So it's almost like he's admitting and he understands that judges, they make bad decisions, or they make decisions in the favor of women. So he got to create the man out to be a villain, a Batman villain 99% of the time, so he could justify the judge making decisions in favor of women, just so he could still stand in it with his feminism and say that no, it's not unfair, it's behavior based, and men do bad behavior, even though it's no fault divorce in the vast majority of states in this country. And even when it's in the contract, like, for example, if the no fault divorce, or when it's not no fault divorce, and behavior does weigh in on it. Like a woman can't get alimony if she cheats. Okay. In some of those instances, if a woman cheated and did something to ruin the marriage, she can't get alimony in the few states that do that, where it's not no fault divorce. And also, likewise, but it's trying to. Yeah, I gotta cut it out. Yeah, I see. He says no fault divorce and Duluth model. Look it up. Yeah. No, we got that. I mean, that part was just crazy. That the 99% stat. That he said 99% of the time when a man has to pay out, it's because he was caught cheating. Like that's just objectively, empirically just false. 100%, hands down, no questions asked. But shout out to the Golden Eagle. He said, is there a law, either state law or biblical law, that states that if the husband commits adultery, the marriage is null and void? Anywhere in the U.S.? If so, does the wife have the option to stay? I would like Obsidian to address this also. Yeah, we touched on that. He asked for the link early on. I'm gonna give it to him. Give me a minute. It's a larger point that I'm building to here. Give me a minute.
$50. So that makes you rich?
It's a start. Damn.
Shout out to the Golden Eagle 99. Shout out to you. Appreciate that. Shout out to you. Appreciate that. I didn't hear Obsidian's interaction with him. That part of it I didn't hear. I heard the beginning of the interview and I heard some part towards the end. I did hear one time when Obsidian went back and forth with him, but I didn't hear Obsidian's full interaction with the guy. But Obsidian did have an actual interaction with him. I do understand that took place, but I don't understand. I don't know exactly what happened with that.
Because in an annulment, you don't pay. If you just go your separate ways, you don't pay. If your wife makes more than you, you don't pay. So in this space, we pretend like nothing happens, but the men just pay and men are getting screwed. That's not practical. That's not intelligent. That's not how it really works.
I hate when they go there and say, "If your wife make more than you, you don't pay." And obviously, yeah, that's true. But obviously, we know that women are far less likely to get in a marriage where they're making significantly more than a man. That's why so many high-earning women are single, calling Kevin Samuels' show, trying to figure out how to get a high-value man, because they don't want to sign that bad contract. They don't want to sign that bad contract and marry a guy where they're making $130,000 a year and he's making $40,000 a year. They don't want to sign that bad contract. And they're smart enough to know that, hey, that's a bad contract. If this go south in a no-fault divorce state, then yeah, he's going to be able to come away with some money. He's going to be able to walk away with some assets that I paid for. He's going to be able to walk away with all of that. They fully know and understand that. And that's the reason they don't do that. That's the reason that they stay away and refrain from signing that bad contract. So it makes no sense to even try to say if your wife makes more than you, you're going to pay. Most women are not going to end up paying, because most women are not going to marry somebody that makes significantly less than them than that. Now, some women do, and they do end up having to pay.
Unfortunately, a lot of men get caught cheating and they have to pay the consequences, but they don't automatically pay. I have a family member who was making more than her husband. When they got divorced, she had to pay. That's the way it works. That's the law. There's no law that says men pay. There's never been a law that actually says men pay.
Okay. Now let's tease this out, because he tried to play the oppression card earlier in the show. Would it be acceptable for, I wonder if a black person came to him and tried to say, okay, there's no law that says that a black man should get a longer sentence. There's no law that says that. The law isn't race specific. That's what a lot of people try to say. Is those laws are not gender specific, but if one gender is benefiting more, especially when it comes to the custody thing, and that's where he's really going to show his cards. If one gender is benefiting more, it doesn't matter that it's not written in a biased way. If it's being practiced in a biased way, it doesn't matter if the laws if the sentencing laws are. It doesn't matter if they're written in a biased way. If they're being practiced in a biased way. So just look at how he's describing this versus how when he we'll talk about when he tried to bring in the racism and oppression thing to try to get the crowd on his side. So that's one thing you got to pay attention to with people that argue the way that he's arguing here.
Before, only 40 years ago, right? Women weren't allowed to work, so they were automatically making less, and the man had to give her something to support her for a few years. Now,
he said 40 years ago women were not allowed to work. That's false. That's literally false.
A few years, for years, until she can support herself. But now that women are making their own money, it's not a guarantee that the man is going to pay the woman. And I'm going to get into a little bit later how much the women make in the African American community. They're more likely to pay if you're black. If you're white, it's different. But if you're black, a woman, African American females are more likely to pay in a divorce because they make more money.
Everywhere that data is found, literally everywhere that data is found. So I don't need to drop no links for this stuff. Anywhere that data is found, it will show you that the average black man makes more money than the average black woman. Anywhere the data is found. I mean, I could send you to blackdemographics.com. I could drop the link to it, but that'd be pointless. So he's just coming with just outright, like, again, he's pulling lies out of his ass at this point. Anywhere the data is found, black men, it shows that black men make more than black women. That coupled with the fact that women typically, a woman who makes, 60,000, she might marry a guy that makes 50,000. But typically, if a woman is making enough that it will put her in alimony territory, she typically will not sign that contract. Shout out to the lead attorney who does divorces for a living. And he knows women are not signing that contract. Only men are. So there's that. Only men are signing that contract if there's a huge economic imbalance. Only men are doing that. Yes, there are some cases where women are doing it, but for the most part, men are the majority of the ones who are doing that. So again, he's lying and pulling out all kind of stuff out of his ass.
And that's a fact.
That's interesting.
And nobody wants to talk about that.
And that's concrete rule. That's interesting. Been in this space this damn long, damn well black men make more money than black women. But you're gonna say, oh, that's interesting. Goddamn well he was on some bull. But I shouted out Concrete Rose. She did hold it down at a little part towards the end. She did hold it down on the part towards the end. But yeah, that's interesting. Come on now.
So what about the child custody laws? Because I don't want to make it seem like all women are just totally messed up, because of course that's not true. But you do have men who are actually better parents, but they do have a harder time getting custody of the children, even if the woman is piss poor. What about in that instance? Like, do you think the laws are fair toward men when it comes down to child custody?
Yeah, so it's absolutely fair. It's a law, right? There's two sides. There's two sides.
Well, just because it's a law, does that make it fair? Because there used to be a law that the black people were property, that they weren't, like, just being a law does not necessarily equate 100%, to fairness.
100% correct. And what I meant, it's a law. I meant that in this case, you get to present both sides of the argument. You have a prosecution and you have a defense. And so even in a family court, both parents get to go present to the judge their ability to be the best child, the best parent, the best custodian, right? Both parents. Because to answer an earlier question, someone asked if I'm married to the mother of my child. No, I had a child at 19 years old, and I knew at 19 I wasn't going to be married. I've only been married for going on 4 years now. So I did not marry my daughter's mother. I actually got married much later. And now that my daughter's older, she lives with me. So I'm a baby daddy. I understand both parents are.
Let me stop real quick before he get deep into putting his foot in his mouth real bad. He said everyone gets a chance to present their case. And they present their case to, it's called a different thing from state to state. In my state, it's called an arbitrator. That's what I had to present my case to, and I lost. And I came back again and tried to present my case again, and I lost. I came back again after I had to go in the hole for 2 years and pay child support for kids that I had more than the person I was paying child support to stack up a whole orgy of evidence, come back, throw it on the desk, and then I finally just got equal 50-50 custody. Now, it's not the biggest flaw. You might see the biggest flaw in a little bit. The huge flaw in what he's doing right here. Yeah, right. Sir, why didn't he just go and take custody of his kids? It's so easy. But the huge flaw in what he's doing right here is that he's saying basically everybody gets the chance to present their case. But seeing as the majority of women are feminists, just imagine an arbitrator. The way it works is the man sits right here, the woman sits right there. The arbitrator is sitting across the desk, and there's 9 different points. She asks questions, and we talk it out. We explain ourselves. We make our case. The arbitrator writes up a report, hands it to the judge. The judge reads the report, and the vast majority of times, the judge and the lead attorney confirmed this more or less, either out of trusting the person who's a professional to make the determination. But I said, and he didn't disagree with me, I said just out of outright laziness, he just goes with what the report says. And it's hard to overturn what the arbitrator came up with. And seeing as the majority of people that hold those jobs are women, the majority of them probably have an ideology very similar to him. So just imagine if he was the one in that seat writing up that report. How biased do you think that report will be? So for him to try to say that it's not biased, you got a chance to present your case, but knowing that it's far more likely that the people that they're presenting the case to is not a dispassionate male judge, but no, it's more than likely a woman with a degree in social work, or well, I'm not even going to talk about the degree that the people that the individuals, the arbitrators have, or in some cases they actually come to the house and check things out and sit down and talk to the individuals and everything like that. They do all of that. That person's individual bias is what's determining a lot of these situations. So for him to try to say that it's equal footing is complete and utter BS. Like, we had the lead attorney on here who he explained it. He knows it. He's been in those meetings. He's talked with those people. He understands exactly what it was. There's a stream that he had going on where some social worker came in and they said if the man cheated on his wife, he doesn't deserve to get custody of his kids if he cheated. And you see how he talked about how the judge needs to punish that man for cheating. So we're talking about people with ideologies like that. And he's trying to say that it's all fair and balanced and equal, and you have an equal opportunity to present your case. But then he's about to show his cards even more going forward. But I just wanted to point out that whole equal thing. Salahuddin El Rahim said, Bernard, hold those L's. No, I ain't got to hold no L's. I went back and I won. I fought to the finish and I won. Thousands of dollars, lots of time, blood, sweat, and tears. But yeah, I did win. But through winning, I understand that firsthand that it's not a fair fight. It's not a fair fight because the person, whether or not that man wins, it depends on the ideology of that woman that's sitting across the desk. And then you got one woman sitting across the desk and the woman sitting next to you that you're fighting against for custody. And she's in there crying and telling her emotional story, and the woman are sitting there emotionally connecting. I was looking at them, they both just, look like they doing the. They sitting there having color purple moments and shit. Like, I'm like, no, the shit is not fair. but I'm speaking to the mere fact that he sitting there talking about you have a case, you have an opportunity to go present your case, and you present your case, you present your case.
Born with custody, and you go in front of a judge to see.
Oh, and by the way, he said both parents are born with custody. What he was basically trying to say is custody is just automatic, hands down. No. The woman automatically by default has custody, especially if you're talking about it not being a marriage. If it is a marriage, then I think it's kind of up for grabs, but I just talked about the bias. But if it's not a marriage, the woman automatically by default have all rights and control over the kid. So he did say that. I paused it at the wrong moment, but he just said, I'll even rewind it just a little bit. He said both people are essentially, by default have custody, and then they go down there and then got to get figured out who's the best.
Daddy, I understand both parents are born with custody, and you go in front of a judge to see if you're going to be separate. You're going to see who is going to be the primary custodian and who's going to be the secondary. And man has as much ability to prove his worth to the judge as a woman does. The fact that men fail to do so is not the court's fault. It's not the law's fault. It's not the woman. The last place it is the woman's fault. It's not the woman's fault that you can't stand your baby mama, but you can't prove to a judge that you're a better choice. That's not the woman's fault. That's your fault. I could have years ago went to a court and got primary custody of my daughter from her mother, but I never thought that it needed to be that way because I didn't feel like I wanted to put my daughter in a position where she had to choose. I had to pull her away. My daughter's mother wasn't such a horrible person. I wanted to force the separation, but there are people who have that situation. But if you had one, we got to take personal responsibility. If you had a baby with somebody who's so bad that your child shouldn't be around them, that's a question mark on your judgment. And we say this to women all the time. If you had a baby with this dude who's such a horrible person, what's wrong with you to have a baby with him? Well, it's the same thing in reverse, right? What's wrong with a man who has a baby with a woman who's so horrible that he wants to take his child away from her? First,
we're not talking about horribleness and taking a child away. He's making another straw man. We're not talking about she's so horrible, I want to rip the child away from her. She don't need to be in the life of the children. No, we're talking about men fighting for 50-50 custody, which many of them do in a divorce. And shout out to the lead attorney. He said the majority of the time the women are fighting against him just getting 50-50 custody, 1 week on, 1 week off. That's what they're fighting against, whether he's horrible or not horrible. And when it was even put to him, he basically just punted on that one. Who cares?
One, that's bad judgment on your part. And two, why can't you prove that to the judge? If she's so bad, why can't you present appropriate evidence so the judge will give you primary custody?
Why can't you present appropriate evidence so the judge will give you primary custody? You see, you have to present evidence above and beyond. And he's about to get into that, and this is where you're going to really mess up. He's about to get into that. But the woman, by default, just mere fact of having ovaries, she's already up here. You start down there. You got to present appropriate evidence to get you up there. That's what he's saying. It's about to get real interesting.
In this space, we pretend like all these things are just something happening in the fantasy world and nobody knows what's going on. Reality is here. We can walk outside. We can go talk to our neighbors. We can go to our school. We can talk to our cousins, our brothers, our sisters. We know people who are in this situation. They're in the Black community too. The Black community is everywhere we are. We are the Black community. It's everywhere we are. So why are we pretending like the facts don't exist? The fact is that men fail to get custody. I have a friend who when I was young in the military, who got custody. His daughter's mother just off and ran away. He had full custody. And I remember one day he was called in to work suddenly, and he dropped his daughter off in the barracks of all places on base. He just dropped his daughter off with me because I was the person he could trust at the shortest amount of time. And I had this little baby girl, and I don't even like kids. And I just had this little baby girl that I was trying to entertain for 4 or 5 hours because he had to just go in. And that's what women deal with. This is what single parents deal with all the time. I will never forget that. And he raised his daughter. She's in college now. And he was a single dad. So I have examples of both single male parents and the overwhelming single female parents. Whichever way it falls, we can't blame women that men aren't better single parents. We can't blame women.
So you don't think
all the data shows that men are better single parents across the board in every measurable way. all the data shows that men are better single parents. And one clear indication that a man is probably going to be a decent parent if he's fighting for his kid, because a man fighting for his kids, that's a man who actually wants his kid. A woman, on the other hand, just by mere fact of having an ovaries and a vagina and all of that, she just puts your kids out. She just has them by default, whether she's good or bad. But the man who fights for his kids, fights for the right to get his kids, is more than likely going to be a better parent. But all the data shows, all of the data shows that a man, all of the data shows that men are better single parents. So for him to just say that women are just by fiat, oh my, Mr. Shane Bitches in the building says several years ago there was a man that had his son because the mother was in prison. I talked about that earlier. For 5 years after she got out, they gave him back to the mother. But it's his fault that he didn't present enough data to show that he was the better parent. Now, if you just want to just man up and say they bias towards women, tough shit. If he was to say that, then okay, we can work from there. But he's basically saying, no, it's all equal. You're just failing to present your case. But remember when he tried to play the race card and tries to say that, or even with his early feminism card that he tried to play, that ultimately that no, it's talking about the qualified person getting what they should have anyway. But he's basically just saying that when it comes to this situation where women have the advantage, oh no, tough shit. He's about to double down on that tough shit even harder. Red alert, this guy is a female dog, and sometimes, okay, thank you for the super chat, appreciate that. I don't call names. I mean, I'll point out
these last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
I'll point out lack of logic. I will point that out. I will break that down. I will criticize that, but I'm not going to sit there and call the man names. But you super chatted it, so I end up reading it. I'm Ron Burgundy on them super chats. I just be reading them. Shout out to. Oh wait, hold on. Oh wait, no, I already read that one. And shout out to.
Hi, I'm Snuggle. Snuggly softness. That's really less expensive.
Shout out to Snuggles. That's funny every time. He says the young man seems to have an effeminate way about him when it comes to his thought process. Am I thinking wrong? No, you are thinking absolutely correct. You are thinking absolutely correct, Snuggles. Snuggles. There's nothing more terrible to hear. There is nothing more terrible to hear is a delusional black man on some feminist-ish. Yeah. Shout out to D-Rock Dan in the building with the super chat.
You don't think the stack is stacked? The deck is stacked against them as it relates to the court system. That the court system typically sides with the women. Okay,
there's a good reason why the court system typically sides with the woman, because the woman squeezes out of her body. It's a practical thing. It's not because they hate men. So you have to do a little extra. It's, for example, if I'm a banker and you're a carpenter.
Wait. Hold, Mr. Shane Vicious, what links are you dropping in here? What links you dropping in here? Don't be dropping links, sending people to somewhere else other than my damn channel. What the hell is that for? Explain to me what you're dropping that link for. Is it supporting data that they could read on a stat or something, or what? Just curious, what is that link that you're just dropping? Sometimes people do that. They say, yeah, it's another video where they talk about this. Here's the link. And then you see the content creator views drop down by like 10%. Like, don't be sending people away. All right. Anyway. Mike N says, shout out to Bernard. All right. Oh, y'all hiding people? Silky Red was unhidden. What did Silky Red do? Just time her out. Time her out. I don't know how I'm clout chasing if I'm doing a response video from a channel that my channel was bigger than and get more views than, but I guess it's still clout chasing by in the mind of illogical people, but okay. Just time her out to infinity and beyond.
Have to do a little extra. It's, for example, if I'm a banker and you're a carpenter and we go to court because I'm suing you over money, the fact that I'm a banker, I have more knowledge in that field, that the court isn't stacked against you because I'm a banker and you're a carpenter and we're talking about finances. It happens to be that I have something more knowledgeable than you in this scenario. It's the same thing with women. The woman produces the child from inside of her actual body. It doesn't come from a store. So we can't sit here and act like it's equal.
Yeah, see what he's doing there? He's basically saying if somebody is naturally better at something, then you don't have to try to make it equal. You don't have to try to do anything to make it, 50-50 across the board if somebody is more competent at a certain thing. Keep that in mind.
Never started out equally. And so the benefit that the woman has, the benefit of the doubt that the woman has is appropriate. She produced a being from inside of her physical body. The man cannot say that. He needs to come with more evidence that will overwhelm that initial fact. We can't erase the initial fact and say we're going to start at zero. Life doesn't work that way. The woman has a benefit that she has inherently. We have to address that. That's what being fair is about. The inherent benefit of being a woman with a child.
I think.
So now y'all see what just happened right there. Yeah, see what just happened right there. Now, in the beginning, he started out by saying men have dominated for so long, and the reason men have dominated for so long and have been dominating all this time, yeah, men are more aggressive, got more testosterone, they're more industrious, they're typically harder working. All the data shows, all things being equal, a man is going to typically work more hours, he's going to work more, he's going to work harder, and he's ultimately going to make more money. All right. His argument is we need to push to get to make that equal, to balance that out. Even if we can understand that men are naturally just gonna work harder and go harder and thrive. They're in different circumstances, different situations. They're ultimately men. He's gonna admit that there are differences between men and women. So on the areas where men have a natural advantage when it comes to being, industrious and driven and competitive and all of that, no. We have to fight to make that equal. We have to bring that to the middle and make everything on an equal playing field. But when we come over to the area where women supposedly, allegedly have a natural advantage because they're supposedly, allegedly better parents, no. They're supposed to hold their advantage, and you just got to outperform. You got to show, improve, and outperform them in order to get some type of 50-50 custody or some type of equality. Now, you remember when we talked about that definition early on, when he said the definition of feminism is equality of sexes. If he truly believes that the definition of feminism is equality of sexes, he would have to concede that even in a child custody situation, that it should be equal. That it should absolutely be equal, because as a feminist, he's fighting to get equality for the areas where things are not equal for women, even though that's some BS. They got, equality and privileges and all kind of stuff going on. But how could you, as a male feminist or just feminist in general, say that, yes, if women are losing or down, let me make sure, if men are up here and women are down there, and even if the men do have some societal advantages, some hardwired, even possibly biological advantages in the name of making a fair society, because feminism is about fairness. Feminism is about fairness of equality of the sexes. The society should work to bring it here. That's what he's saying. But in the areas where feminism, where I should say, where women clearly have the advantage, he's saying that no, they hold that advantage for a reason. But he's not willing to look at the reasons men have held that advantage for all those years. When he said going back 100,000 years, a lot of that was just sheer muscle mass, but he's not willing to look at the reasons why men held advantages over women going back hundreds of thousands of years. He said, no, they should have been equal from the start. They should have been treated 100% equally from the start. But his argument completely changed and flipped around when we talked about something where women supposedly have the advantage or are naturally better at it. That means the man has to show and prove 10 times over that he's better. You see how he abandoned his initial premise and showed that feminism is not about equality of sexes, everybody being equal or being treated equally or making full, fair, equitable exchange or whatever the hell. That's egalitarianism. Shout out to Black Wizard who tried to explain that to him. He's proven right now that feminism is about women being in an advantage, because every area where they're disadvantaged, he wants to bring it up to equal. Every area where they have an advantage, he wants them to maintain that advantage, which shoots his whole argument in the foot. I mean, he's literally done right now. The argument is his whole premise is done and over with. His whole definition of feminism is done. His argument about wanting equality is done. Everything is done. He cooked himself with his own words. He about to keep doing it.
I think that's interesting.
There go concrete with that. That's interesting.
Her name was Amina. I absolutely love her, adore her. It was like a real dope conversation that we were able to have with Amina. But she made a comment where she stated that women are superior to men. And by some of the things that you stated, I wonder if you, number one, agree with that comment. And if you do, if you could also provide your whatever opinions you have that support that. And then, like I said, if you want to quickly touch on anything that I read in the super chats, you can do that as well.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Rose. I do not think women are superior to men. I literally said that feminism is gender equality. Equality means that no side is superior. And so men have been dominating, and it's appropriate that we bring the pendulum from the man side to the middle.
I hear that.
And anyone who wants it on the woman's side, I would fight for it to go to the middle, because respect is in the middle.
Did y'all hear that? He literally just said, if anybody who wants it, the pendulum to swing in favor of the men, he would want to bring it to the middle. And anybody who wants the pendulum to swing in favor of the women, he would want to bring it to the middle. Now, this was literally the next question that they asked him, after he literally just said that basically when it comes to the family court and child custody issues, he basically just said tough shit. Take it, he basically just said tough shit to men, whatever. But then in the next question that they asked him, he gave an answer that said, well, no, if the pendulum is swinging in favor of women, I would want it to bring to the middle. But he literally just in the last question that they asked him proved that he didn't want it to be brought to the middle if women were at advantage, which means he shoots his whole argument in the foot that feminism is about equality of the sexes. No, what you said in the beginning, that it's about, that people think it's about female dominance or females getting an unfair advantage or whatever the hell, however he described it. He's proving with his own words that's what it is. He's proving with his own words. Like, he's literally cooking himself right now and saying that. Shout out to the lead attorney in the building. Shout out to the lead attorney. But he's literally destroying his own argument. Destroying his own argument from the root. Showing that it is not about equality of the sexes. The definition of feminism is hold on, damn. I had there was a written definition of feminism, but it still wasn't even that good of a definition. Still wasn't that good of a definition, but it's clearly shout out to Ronald Calhoun with a Cash App. Hold on, Ronald Calhoun with a Cash App. Appreciate that. Egalitarian is for equality. And if they truly wanted equality, they would literally just call it egalitarianism, and wouldn't even deal with the whole feminism thing. They wouldn't even they wouldn't even call it feminism. But this is a situation where from one question to the next, you normally don't get it this good. So they're normally more clever than to from one question to the next to just completely out themselves. That normally doesn't happen exactly in that way. Somebody says the word literal and literally should be banned from use in the black manosphere. Hey, I'm probably guilty of that. People say literal and it don't be actual literal. I think he's implying that I just did that. Perhaps I did, but no, I agree with you. I do cringe every time somebody say he literally flew to the moon. Like, no, he didn't. As Reggie says, he's a helmet and feminist. He's a helmet and a feminist. LOL, rare combination. I disagree. I think that's a very common combination.
I read in the super chat, you can do that as well.
All right, thank you, Miss Rose. I do not think women are superior to men. I literally said that feminism is gender equality. Equality means that no side is superior. And so men have been dominating, and it's appropriate that we bring the pendulum from the man side to the middle. And
men have been dominating. I just want to play that one more time before I open it up. Men have been dominating, and it's important that we bring it from the man side to the middle. And it's important that we bring it from the man side to the middle.
We bring the pendulum from the man side to the middle. And anyone who wants it on the woman's side, I would fight for it to go to the middle.
And he literally just fought against it going to the middle. He fought against it going to the middle, even at the expense of children. Like, that's how strong somebody can be in the camp for women and feminism and fighting that fight, even at the detriment of children. He just proved that he does not want it to go to the middle. He tried to talk shit about fathers not raising the kids and women raising kids by themselves. But when we present him with situations where men are trying to raise the kids by themselves, he said, no. You don't deserve to raise it by yourself, or you need to show and ignore the exorbitant amount of evidence to show that you need to be able to raise the kid. No, to raise it 50-50, not by yourself, but raise it 50-50. You need to show an extreme amount of evidence to show that you deserve to raise it 50-50. Otherwise, the woman should be raising the kid by herself. So in one hand, they'll complain and make a big fuss about the plight of the single mother. But when men try to do something to offer the ultimate child support to the plight of the single mother, and I call it ultimate child support, is supporting the child 1 week and she support the child the other week. You can't get better child support than that. When they offer what I call the ultimate child support, women fight against that, and he puts the cape on and defends them fighting against that, and then turns around in the next breath and say that if women have an advantage, it should be brought to the middle. Done. Game over. Shot your own argument in the foot.
Because respect is in the middle. Thinking that you're superior to someone is thinking that you're superior to someone is where you lose equality. This is where you lose respect. If you think you're superior to someone, then even if they want to, they can't respect you because you have a superiority attitude towards them. Respect is where we don't have to be the same to be equal. And people assume that we have to be the same.
I agree.
No, we don't have to be the same. Each person brings their own benefits, but the respect is where we look at each other as equals. Humanism is we respect each other as humans. And that includes women. It doesn't only mean women or only mean men. It means we respect each other, all of us as humans, and whatever contributions a human can make. So I absolutely don't think women are superior. Women do many things better than men, and there are obviously many things that men do better than women. But if you tally all those things up, we're equal.
Now that part right there, I don't see how you don't even realize. I see how he don't. I don't even see how you don't realize how that shoots his argument in the foot too. If we're going to say that there's a separation, that men are different than women, which that's my argument. Yeah, men are different than women, and that's why men statistically have different outcomes than women. And if he's going to stand on the argument that women are different than men in the context of when it comes to nurturing, and that's why they should get the kids. So there are two different types. They're two different beings with different skill sets, but coming together. But they both have an equally important role. If that's the case, you shouldn't be over here fighting to try to bring up or even out or balance out the areas where men are different and they're getting a different outcome. It should ultimately be women are different and they're over here and they're going to get the outcomes that they get. You know, you can make that case that the women that if you weren't fighting to get women making what I'm going to say is more money than the men, that's ultimately what they're fighting for, to get women to make more money than men. They would deny that, but that's ultimately what they're fighting for, to get women to make more money than men. If you weren't fighting for that and you were all for men working and providing, and then yeah, in those situations, I can understand women getting the kids more. But you can't say on one hand that women are making just as much money and they're paying just as much in divorces and blah, 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 or this or that, but then also turn around and then make the other argument that, oh, then they do deserve the kids more as well. I mean, no, you can't do all that at the same time. The link is in the chat. The link is in the chat. Shout out to Indigenous TV. He says the puss ultimatum. What he's saying that's it right there. All this nothing talk about equality is just campaign speak. He's aligning. He's angling. He's angling for sex. Okay, got you. I don't know about okay. I'm not gonna try to decode the man's motivations. I'm not going to try to decode that. Not going to try to decode his motivations. I just wanted to break down the clear breakdown in logic and thought process. Want to break down the clear breakdown in logic of the thought process. When given an opportunity to show that feminism was about equality of the sexes, he failed miserably. Like he wholesale failed miserably when given an opportunity to prove it. Like if he would have just said, oh, absolutely, men should get 50-50 custody, then you could take everything else that he's fighting for more serious. You genuinely can. You genuinely could. But the mere fact that he's not even willing to do that, the mere fact that he's not willing to go there, I mean, that says it all. It's game over at that point. It's absolutely positively game over at that point with his whole thought process, and ideology. And the link, let me make sure that link is the right link. I don't see anybody. Okay, somebody did just come on up. Fantastic. Just jumped in the back chat. But link in the chat, anybody else want to come up. But fantastic is, hold on, let me make that not, oh, wait, hold up. Let me get rid of that. There we go. Fantastic in the building. What's going on?
Yeah, what up, bro?
What up? Did you hop on that panel last night?
Yes, bro. It was a slaughterhouse, bro. Dude took like 37 L's, man. Again, it wasn't even funny.
I didn't even see all those L's. I just listened to his little opening speech. And then
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw some stuff at the end. I saw some stuff at the end where he kept, trying to get sassy. Okay, he kept trying to get sassy with you.
Zesty. He had that wishbone salad dressing going on. Yeah, he was extremely zesty.
Yeah, man. Yeah. What's your overall thought? What did you hit him with when you come up?
Well, no, I'll just say what I gave it to him in closing. Listen, man, for him to be a male feminist, it's a literal contradiction of what feminism is. Feminism is the proof that women are created equal to men, and therefore they don't need help from men. So, being the fact that he steps out and he uses the statement and the title of male feminist is a literal philosophical contradiction to feminism itself. So yeah, man, it was just a lot of stuff that he a lot of straw man, a lot of deflection. City was up there. He was asking a lot of questions, and man, this dude was a better dancer than a combination of Chris Brown, James Brown, and Michael Jackson, bro. This nigga, he could move, bro. I talk him dancing machine. Okay, nobody could keep up with this guy.
Yeah,
but
that's what I saw. The little parts I saw of when the panel was opened up, I saw him. I saw him dancing out of situations real good, and then accusing other people of not being logical or reasonable or not understanding something. And it was just like it's like he was avoiding questions, but was doing it with the arrogance as if he answered the question. It was like a weird situation. Yeah, that junk was weird. I couldn't make heads or tails of that. So I was like, let me go ahead and
well, Bernard, I don't know if you missed the best part. So again, he's married, or shout out to him and his wife respectfully. But again, this is why I say maybe have to listen to people's let them talk and give their explanation, because I asked her, so hey, could you explain to us what your version of submission is? And she talked about how she allowed her husband to do this, she allowed him to lead. And it was something. Oh, she gives him the respect, same respect she gives her job. She doesn't come home and be belligerent and and cuss him out and all these things. And I was like, hold on. So you mean to tell me you just do? I mean, the shit you should be doing to any human being, that's submission. And pretty much after she tried to explain it out, they tried to make it with like it just pretty much prove what we say all the time, man. Black women don't have an understand. American black women don't have an understanding of what submission is, and for them, submission is the bare minimum. It's just them allowing you as a man to let you do things. They let you lead. They let you be yourself. They let you have peace. They let you, and that's not submission. Furthermore, he was saying how submission is the same thing to no, excuse me. He said allowing is the same thing as cooperation. And I was like, no. Yeah, allowing is not the same thing as cooperation. In order to allow someone, you have to have authority. He did use a good point as far as, a woman like allowing you to have sex with her and stuff like that. But yeah, that's still an authoritative position because it's her body. You can't, this isn't the caveman days anymore. And it was just so many fallacies, man, that he gave, in order to try to, I guess, defend his position. But like everybody, man, even Obsidian was up there, shout out to him, even Black Quizzard. And Black Quizzard is not the strongest advocate of, male dominance himself. So yeah, man, it was just
even Concrete was like, what, when he said the Latins were matriarchal, that's when I was like, okay, this nigga
that too. Yeah, a lot of his information was false also, but Edward's here, he got it.
Go ahead, Ed. You got the floor.
Fantastic. I want to know what happened once I left, because I left after I passed you the baton, because I was gonna say that me and Fantastic tag team that nigga, but I was like, oh, I just got to listen to Ramil shit, and I'm like, okay, these niggas, the shit y'all saying, I was like, that's gonna come out bad. So anyway, at the end of the day, what did you say to him after when she tried to pull that I don't got kids, so I can't speak on how kids are educated bullshit?
Oh no, Fantastic left.
Oh, he left.
So, yeah, Fantastic gone.
Oh,
so
damn.
you can't even. Yeah.
Oh, okay, damn. All right, I hope he didn't leave because he thought I was gone. Anyway.
Oh no, it sounded like he was just hopping up for a minute just to give a little quick,
okay.
Little quick recap.
I'm a little self-conscious. Have you seen that Edward Anderson, that Edward like meme that them dudes did of me with the Hurricane Edward thing?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it got
Yeah,
me a
that was
little
fun.
subconscious. I ain't gonna lie, I laughed in the car though. That shit was funny as hell.
Yeah, that was funny.
Like
as hell.
6
But
months
no.
later. We need more dudes like that. We need more dudes that really like doing the edits. You know what we need to start to do? We need to go ahead and start getting some of these motherfuckers that like to do the animation shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
No, yeah.
because it's some of these young dudes that be doing the I'm talking about like animated videos, like they can, got some good stuff. But anyway,
Yeah, what
as
was
far as
what
you
did you
talking about,
go ahead.
well, here's the biggest thing with me is I asked him some simple questions. So what everybody was doing, and look, I get why they were doing that, but they were kind of having debates with him, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yo, at this point, the key thing with a guy like that is to not debate him, is to let him say what he wants to say, and let him like ask him maybe a question a second time, so he's committing to what he is saying, so people understand. I'm talking about the dudes understand. You're either like, some people might try to say I'm an extremist, but it's like you're either like Bernard or Roger, you're like me or Fantastic, or you're fucking like that dude. Like there ain't no, like those are the three real levels right there. You either somebody that believes the gynocracy exists, you either believe like Bernard, what you talk about with the K, you understand the chaos, but not necessarily fully sold on the
No, no,
gynocracy.
I don't know. No, I accept the gynocracy. It just, but it's
I get you. That's what I'm saying. Fully
when you put
sold.
in the
Fully
white
sold.
supremacy, the white supremacy angle, and whether or not they have power, like that's where but anyway, that's a whole nother
I get it. That's why
subject.
I'm trying to give a middle.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
yeah.
give a middle position because you've been married, all that. The common sense brother, the quote unquote extremist that people like to claim in the manosphere. So you would be in the common sense brother type. And then like somebody that's never had red pill stuff, I would more likely send them to you because you always give you Roger, because y'all give an air of y'all not like 100% like, okay, this is what the policy is, and you going to like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you got dudes like him that in varying degrees, that other dude, where they're on some crazy shit. And dudes like that sound crazy as fuck when you really know what's going on. Even if you're more in the middle, they sound crazy. And my point, so let me go into what happened. I asked them, does a patriarch, black community, a patriarchy, matriarchy, gynocracy, or something that I'm not saying? Dude said, well, at different parts of the black community are different things. Well, what about the whole? Well, different part. He didn't want to answer that. And then he further went to say that America is different. Then he further went to say the Asians are patriarchal. Okay. He said Latins are matriarchal. That's it. Even Concrete was like, what the fuck? But she let that go. Then I asked him the question on, because he kept saying that a woman that births a kid, that let's say kid makes the NBA, makes the college basketball pro sport, it has more to do with that dude, that son, that kid making it to pro sports than the coaches, than all of the coaches that helped him along the way.
Right, yeah.
That's what he said. That's categorically false. But whatever, that's what his thing. I said, okay, I'm gonna give you that. I'll sacrifice that pawn, but but are you telling me that these women are not directly responsible for the lack of how these boys can't read? And when are you saying that too, like the lack of being able to read at reading level? And this is when his wife jumped in. And I wasn't talking to her. I haven't been talking to her. Like it's been like a minute since maybe like 10 minutes since I talked to her. And she chimed in at that point, and I said, and he tried to jump in first, and she cut him. And I was like, oh, so this is that permission-based submission you're talking about. And then she fell the fuck back. Cause then she's like, oops. I say, yeah, now that I say something that you don't like, now you gonna make sure you get taught. And she ended up talking. She fell back, but she started talking again. And what she said was she started talking about her daughter and how her daughter gets straight A's and how her daughter can't get into a gifted school because of whatever. And it's not because of racism, it's because it's not a lot of slots. Because the truth is, your daughter is a black female. So she is black and she is a woman. If she has straight A's, then she's actually going to have somewhat of an advantage over certain white people, even because she technically operates within a double minority. But see, we didn't want to get into all that because she want to say I'm not educated because I don't have a child, even though North Carolina has a anyway, long story short, is she completely redirected the conversation. And that's what they kept doing. And Fantastic would talk about if they didn't have an answer for a question, he would like create his own question and try to answer that shit as if he created his own
Yeah.
question in his head. And I'm like, nigga, and Concrete and them, look, Concrete and them ran a good ship. I'm not gonna like criticize that, but I'm like, this is
Yeah.
the type of nigga that he needs to come and talk to you. He needs to talk to, like, we need to start pulling him through you, Roger, through the guys that get pulled like 200, 300, 400, Ramil. That way he can get some views and he can get his one-on-ones, but people that we know, they know how to interview. And this is not to say that Concrete and them didn't do a good job. Their platform is their platform. They're women, you know? So it's going to be, you know, it is what it is. I'm not saying good or bad, but they say break down a woman's perspective. So it's going to be a woman's perspective.
I mean,
versus,
they're woman biased. I mean, I don't even want to call them feminists, but I mean, we know what it is. They're it's technically a part of the sisterhood, but in the trenches fighting against the manosphere. Their whole channel is a
I'm trying to be
response to the
fair and to
manosphere. Yeah,
acknowledge.
I mean, it is what it is. It is
And
what
when
it
the
is.
dude was on some absolute bullshit, they called that out when he was on. Because even the color purple shit, Concrete, either Concrete or Danielle said that was a myth when that was brought up, because that was one thing he thought brought. So I'll give him credit. I'm not gonna sit there, you know.
Well, they know
I'll
they
give him
have
credit.
to.
And there's a reason why dudes will listen to him.
Yeah, they know. Yeah, they know they have to hold the line on some things, and they've been in this space too long. There's so many things that they got knowledge that they've heard refuted. So if they would have just sat there and did like what they did sometimes, like, oh, that's interesting, and pretend like they
I would
don't
love
know
for
the
him to
answer.
talk to Jessica X too. Yeah. So there's people he wanted. Like, my thing is, he wants one-on-one conversations. There's people that I'm confident that can definitely get the questions answered that I want answered. You know, like as far as how they go about doing stuff naturally. But yeah, man, and y'all want to talk about Kevin is catty, man. That motherfucker is textbook. That nigga was being catty. You can tell he does not talk to men. You can tell that he, like, say what you want to about Kevin. Kevin has conversations amongst us in the sphere. He was doing that on the hangout day.
Yeah.
That dude would not last talking to us. Like, could you imagine a motherfucker like that talking to BGS or Angry Man?
No, he'd get destroyed. He would absolutely get destroyed. See, this is the part that bothers me. I don't know if you was listening to the whole thing, and right at the core of the definition of feminism, when he said it's about equality of the sexes. Basically, everything that men have advantage in, we need to bring it down, make it equal. Need to make it equal. And then they rightfully, I gotta give them some credit. You know, I'm normally critical of them, but I gotta give them some credit. They tried to hammer the point home about the child custody issues and all of that, where women clearly have the advantage. And then
that nigga brought up rape.
I didn't even hear that part.
He said, you know, when we challenged him on feminism, he sat there and said, well, there was a time that as a husband could rape their wife. And that law, they made that illegal, which is really a political move. Because that's really a political, that wasn't like something that was just, like, that wasn't some shit that was happening with black people like that. That was some shit that was happening, with, if anything, with white people, but not even white people to that extent. And then that's what he brought up, because he said, so what are these rights that women need? And then he basically brought up the pay gap. And then he brought up, by the way, he brought up things that were addressed. He brought up the Lely Ledbetter Act. He brought that up, which Obama addressed that. That was the first thing. So things he brought up were like, these are laws are already passed. What we were asking, which is what Obsidian was asking, was what rights do men still have? Black men over black women. Then he made it about a greater thing. So I'm like, how are you married to a black woman? You are clearly in a submissive relationship. So you're in a generally traditional gynocentric relationship with a black woman. Yet you're worried about what white people do. Why are you even worried about white women? Like, that makes no sense. So like, if you're a feminist, you would think you're a feminist because you care about your daughters that are black. The fuck you give a fuck about white women for? They're white. They will be okay. And the very fact that, like, because she was on here the whole time, which I got to give his wife all the credit in the world, because most of the people won't expose themselves to the smoke. So I give her that credit. But she didn't challenge nothing. She basically was just holding the front for her husband because she's smart. Look, she's like what I talk about with Danica Marie. She's actually a textbook example of some of the criticism I would have about Domingo Marine and how she overall views relationships. That is a textbook example of women leading from the back. Textbook.
I don't want to go in on Danica Marie.
I'm not.
Wait, real quick. No. I do want to know what you mean by that, because I never heard nobody say that. But we're not gonna spend that much time on it. So briefly as possible.
I'm gonna say this one.
Briefly as possible. Explain what you mean by that.
The reason why I say that is because what a lot of black men need to understand. And I'm not saying to not listen to Danica Marie. I'm not saying I've listened to her all the way back when she was on Facebook. So I go way back. So a lot of folks found her recently. What I'm saying is this. Just because women get called a pick me because they're critiquing black women, you have to understand the whys. A lot of women are critiquing black women because black women are game goofy as hell. Meaning you got to stop putting your dick on the table in front of these men and then expecting these dudes to do the cruise control man shit that men are supposed to do. So they're more better at teaching women how to get what they need to get out of a man, basically return on investment, by putting minimum into it, by just being smarter about it. This is when the stepdaddy market existed and a lot more. Now I understand that apparently she makes more than her husband, so that comes along with that. I get all that. And I'm not saying she's bad, because if we're going to say, okay, women need to get their shit together, well, women like Danica will get you halfway there, because they're going to give women a good reason why they need to have some act right about them. We get them halfway there. So I would argue that any woman is talking about, I don't want to say get the bag, but how to do better with men that may be on that kind of still woman shit. The sixth goddess of Danica Marie, I would say Love Dorsey too, but I would say Danica Marie would probably be the best at teaching them how to do that in a healthy way. So that's where the applause comes from. But understanding the whys behind that is something that we would split from as being in the manosphere, because they still believe in women being in control. They believe in women being in control like the Democrats believe in. They believe in more soft power versus Republican hard power. That's the difference. And that's still a problem. But that's a problem for a later day. And see, a lot of dudes can't tell that difference. That's all I'm saying. Does that make sense?
Oh no, I definitely understand what you're saying, but only thing is, it's like, far as I can tell, she's talking to men. So that's where, women like her.
Well, they throw they throw subliminals, and you got to catch the subliminals. And even I don't always catch it immediately. But my point is, the only reason I brought this up is because that relationship that dude has, that is a perfect example of, they may not say they want to do to be exactly like that, but they want to do to have that operating system. They may not want to do to come out and say he a feminist and do the cheerleading rah shit, but they definitely want to do that has those sensibilities to always feel like there's more that women can have. And that's a problem, because the reason why there's a imbalance is because of dudes that think that way.
Leo Anthony in the building with Super Chat. He said the problem with a woman dating, she allows a woman. What do you mean? I think it means the problem with the woman stating she allows her man to lead, suggests she has authority. Very true. What would have been better?
It doesn't suggest she does.
Yeah. What would have been better
in her mind? She does.
What would have been better if she would have said she chose to follow his leadership and gave him submission off of that. Fair points there. Definitely. Indigenous TV in the building. He says equality. Let women fight men in combat sports. Only let the women fight on the front lines during times of war. No backup for female cops. Yeah, okay. Yeah, shout out to you. Appreciate the super chat. We got 451 people in here. Y'all hit that like button. Y'all definitely hit that like button. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if I even got it in me. Okay, shout out to Prophet of Thought series. He's saying Bernard Rallian versus SKC Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. only on TPOT Media. I had no idea that was when that debate was taking place, but I'm glad I know now.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Y'all making me want to go back and watch some of that, but I don't think I can stomach it. I don't think I can stomach it.
No,
But
somebody needs to do a good job of clipping. We need to get people that can just clip that shit out, because that's something you can break down for a month going back to when it comes to certain videos. There's dudes like the Poor Man's Podcast. There's some other up and coming dudes too that, boy, they'll break that shit, because it's a dude. So so you can go in on a dude. Some of these dudes are a lot more comfortable jamming the dude up than necessarily constantly jamming women up. They prefer to be seen like, hey, this is this in a man. So it doesn't seem like it's always like they're anti-women necessarily. But yeah, we gotta start putting that email list together. But yeah, language matters. And the words gave her away. I mean, look, I'm not trying to be mean about it. She's nice about it, but the reality is that's a submissive relationship. Oh no, this is what pissed me off about her. And I'm trying to not call her out of her name or B or anything, not because I'm angry at her, because I tend to like let that word fly out. But she's a wife and she came on, so I'm trying to give her that respect. But like, real talk, when she had that fucking soliloquy, and I know I'm the last person to be saying this shit, but when I had to wait like 15 minutes because I thought I was going up next, and then I had to wait for her to give her edifying her husband, and I was like, all that is bullshit. That shit is just as much bullshit as when Crystal and Karazin was doing that to Kevin that day when she called in. I rolled my eyes, and I know that's effeminate in itself, but I did. When I was like, are you I even took my headset down and like waited like 8 minutes, put it back in, and realized she's still talking. I'm like, are you fucking serious? I'm like, I'm like, and you do all this edifying, and I'm like, we all know that's bullshit. And I wanted to say that so bad. That's why I jumped in talking about, okay, you've been talking for 8 minutes, because she was like thinking, because you're a woman, tell it. Look, here's the thing: if you got to tell us men how masculine and assertive your man is, yo, that's a fucking clue he ain't. By the way, that's a pro tip. But I see Obsidian's in here.
yeah, no, you was right about that.
Well, he's so masculine and he's assertive, and I submit because I want to. Then you're not submitting. Oh yeah, I'm gonna say this one last thing. You want black women, you want an easy way to know what submission is, submission for pre-K people. If I tell you to do something and you're fucking mad at me and you still do it, but you still do what I told you, like if let's say I say go get the dry cleaning, but I do something to you that pisses you the fuck off, and it's my dry cleaning, and you still go get it. That's what submission is. Doing shit when you're mad. Cooperation is doing shit that you agree with. But yeah, that you can say you're submissive. If I do something that pisses you off, but you still do what the fuck I told you to do, yeah, then I'll let you say that you were submissive at that point.
Yeah, shout out to
All
Game Changer. It's like the difference between hey, let's eat pizza and ice cream. Okay, yeah, I'll submit. Okay, let's get on a 1,400 calorie diet and eat do a plant-based diet, eat vegetables and fruit and shit. Like, oh wait, hold on, I don't want to follow that one. That's the difference. It's if if they will call it submission if they doing something. Yeah, they're doing something that left to their own devices they would do anyway. They'll try to call that submission. But yeah,
and her shit don't even qualify as cooperation either, by the way. But yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, shout out to Ty City. He says, we kicking Sister Georgia Concrete out of the space yet. Look, man, when I debated them, after that debate, they live stream views was like down to like 37. They can barely get 37 people in there. I tried to sink the Titanic, but y'all went and saved
I'm not gonna lie though, they do a good job. They get some good guests though. I'm not gonna lie. Like I will give them that.
Hey, I tried to deliver them the death blow. Y'all went down there and patched up the hole in the Titanic and saved it. So is what it is. They here to stay. Shout out to Obsidian. Welcome to the show, Obsidian. You were on I didn't really get to hear you that much because I didn't get to listen to the whole thing. I just listened to his opening speech, and I listened to his opening interview, and I heard some of by the time where it got all wild and back and forth towards the end. I ended up hearing some of that, so I didn't really get to hear where you took it. I hear that you performed quite well. That's what I'm hearing. So go ahead. You could go ahead and give you just I don't know, pick it up wherever you want to. Go ahead. You got it.
Yeah. Okay. So the guest wasn't really that much of a And as Fantastic said, you make kind of light work of that. So, but there's a different there's another dynamic here at work that we have to consider. So, okay,
Hold on, time out, Wealthy Fighter. Hold on, real quick. He said Bernard really doing a show about a show he didn't really watch. No, I watched the beginning. I watched his opening interview, and I responded to what I heard in the opening interview. I'm not responding to what happened when the panel opened up. So I am doing a show on a show that I watched 1 hour of it. I responded to the hour that I saw. So don't charge me
You
up.
need to just throw the lightning at him and block him. But by the way, he's talking to guests that were on the show. So FYI.
All right, go ahead, Obsidian. Just wanted to clear that up.
So there's something else that has to be considered here, because as I proved yesterday, the breakdowns guest couldn't even articulate exactly what the Black Manosphere said or didn't say with regard to feminism. He doesn't know my position one way or the other about it. He doesn't know your position about it. He doesn't know Kevin Samuels' position about it. He doesn't know anybody's position of any consequence in the Black Manosphere. He just doesn't know one way or the other. So the question here is, obviously, he's not responding to specific statements made by anybody of any consequence in the Black Manosphere. He's responding to what he perceives the Black Manosphere is through the lens of the breakdown show.
Yes.
So okay. So there is no real argument against any of the gains of feminism for Black women. For example, Black women get the most abortions of anybody. Is there any real argument or movement that has been assembled against that? None that I can tell. Black women tout their educational achievements. I don't want to go into the weeds with it. Just take it on his face. Right. Again, where is the disagreement from Black men, from the Black Manosphere? Let's look at something else. Just general autonomy, the right of Black women to vote and vote the way their conscience, the right of Black women to freely associate. Let's get right to it now. Who they effing? Mm-hmm. Who is preventing Black women from this? Who? Seems to me Black women are the freest women in the country, hands down, because they do what they want, how they want, when they want, with whom they want, under what circumstances they want. So, is this really about feminism? See, I don't think this is about feminism at all. I think this is about something else. I think this is about Danielle and Rose hearing a sustained critique of Black women abusing and squandering their rights and freedoms, and that Black men don't cotton to that and don't like the idea that somehow they have to tolerate or put up with the consequences and outcomes of those squandering of opportunities, rights, and freedoms. And so what they do is they want to get someone that presents the other side of the argument, because there was no argument to be made. The real discourse between Black men and Black women at this time is this: what are the consequences of Black women exercising their freedoms? What are the outcomes of their choices? And who has to deal with it? That's the real discussion back and forth between black women and black men. And with the rise of the black manosphere, many black women, it's interesting to me. A lot of black women, I think, this is just my own personal opinion. My own view is that black women are kind of like dealing with kind of like whiplash of a sort, because social media is still a very new thing. It's only been around barely 15, 20 years, barely. And it's constantly changing. It's rapidly moving. And we don't know what the rules are. We're still trying to, we're as Kevin would put it, we're building the plane while we fly it.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is fast evolving and fast moving. So just think about the events of the past year alone. 2 major events have happened. So you have the black manosphere developing over the past decade, the past 5-6 years in particular, right? Known as Black Manosphere 2.0, right? So you got that developing, gaining ground. Black women have attempted to kill it, and it didn't work. So the Black Manosphere proved itself to be hella resilient, right? Then you get St. Kevin coming along, and he just right out like a shot, right? Then you have on the other side Derek Jackson's self-immolation, right? So you got all of these events happening, like dominoes. And all the way through, the black manosphere continues to grow in terms of its size, in terms of its influence, in terms of its message. I honestly believe that a lot of black women, they really just don't know what to make of that. They really don't know what to make of that. The black manosphere is ascendant in a way that I think black women, I honestly think a lot of black women really never thought could happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the talking points that they've used are no longer operative. They are obsolete. The positions that are coming from our side of the fence can be empirically verified. And so I think a lot of black women are kind of like in a situation of kind of like a whiplash, They don't really know what to make of that.
Right.
And I think that for some black women, they're going to go back to the old playbook and try to, give it the old college try one more again. That's not going to work. Where we are with the conversation, and tell you the truth, I think, there's been this robust debate. I think it's a good thing. There's been a robust debate in the black manosphere on whether game or whether dating coaches. That's a good thing. We need that.
Mm-hmm.
But for the ladies, I think for many, I'm talking about black women 40 and over. I think we're past that. I think we need to have a different conversation. For them, it needs to be about end of life coaches. They need to be talking about what the end game is. No, seriously, we need to talk about what the end game is. Look, Black America has a serious problem, and that problem is this: we have a whole lot of black women 40 and over who they fundamentally lack what black men in general, black men of a certain stripe, read high value men, want and need. They lack the physical appearance and personality that they want, and they lack the marketable skills that they need. So there's a real question here of what is to be done with there's a lot of black women we're talking about here, 40 and over. That's a real question. And I think that the conversation has to change and shift in that direction of the end game.
Well, real quick before you jump in, hold on, real quick before you jump in, I do want to shout out 2 super chats. Kevin Samuels have sort of tried to take it in that direction with the okay, well, go ahead and die alone. the type of thing, and you can see the reaction to it. Some of them are in denial about it. Some of them are pushing back to it. Some of them are, they're pushing back, saying, "No, I'm gonna find me a husband. I ain't gonna die alone." And then some of them are on some almost on some just outright don't give a shit type of response to it. So it's almost what you're saying. The conversation needs to go, I think, through the enormity of Kevin Samuels' platform. He's definitely tried to take it there. So the conversation is there. I know you were at the ground floor pushing for it, and then Kevin Samuels happened to blow up, and he more or less repackaged something that you said, and so it's being put out there. So we're seeing their reaction to it. And I think there's a percentage of them that I would never dare try to name that are probably thinking, yeah, okay, over 40, and I'm still with the same thought process that ain't getting me nowhere. Then if I don't figure something out, I am going to end up dying alone. I think there's a percentage that's probably figuring that out. But hold on real quick. Hold your thought, Ed. Shout out to E Capone. I think I just gave you a wrench. You didn't $5 super chatted your way to a wrench. Appreciate your support. You've been $5 me down, so shout out to you on that one. And also, shoot. Hold on, I got a few more. Somebody else. Damn it, I missed somebody that came. My bad, whoever that was. Yeah, made a good point in the super chat, and I missed it. But shout out to you. And also, last but not, thank you, Justin Marsh. But last but not least, Deacon Dave says Kevin S. new name is Mr. 800K. Absolutely, yeah. He's hit. He gonna get to that million in probably 2 months. That's 3 months. I give him 3 months. But
yeah,
he's
before the end of the summer.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm probably pegging August.
But you was trying to jump in
more
on
podcasts. I don't disagree. I mean, Obsidian, there's validity in what the Obsidian has to say, just like there's validity in black people needing to have life insurance. There's validity, but the validity of it doesn't mean that folks. We know how black people are. We know how black women are, and that's what Bernard, you were kind of speaking to. The reality, like, okay, let me paint a different picture. This is what's about to happen. What is happening? Shout out to The Pursuit of Happiness, Black Woman's Emotional Bullshit. Whoever wrote that shit. I need to make sure I go read that book. Black women are going to do the same things that they criticize black men for. They about to start going overseas, particularly the Caribbean, and getting stroked the fuck out. They already are doing that. And Obsidian's chronicled that like years ago, by the way. I remember that's
obvious. More women have more passports than men. Why? We all know why that is. So they don't. They don't want to be a hoe in their hometown. They go leave the country sometimes to be a hoe. Yeah, we get it.
Girls trips.
Yeah.
Yep. It's just the manosphere chooses to not we hold back a lot more than what people think we do, to be honest. We choose to not bring stuff up because, quite frankly, we don't care. But even the fucking Jamaicans are complaining about it. Like in that book, even the women down there are complaining about it. That's how over marketed, and it's the demographic that Obsidian's talking about. That north of 40 demographic is that demographic. And my point is, what they think they're going to do. Here's the thing: black women know that settling is always an option. They just don't want to be told that's what's going to be the outcome. They want to live their best life in their mind. And then they know they can always go down. Like, look at people like Nicki Minaj. Like, look at the whole Keisha Cole. Like, they start dropping down until they land somewhere. And the smart ones understand you got to do that more in the front end of 30, like Megan Good and Sierra. But the dumb ones, or what they'll do is they'll just get fucked. That's really all they're going to do until they completely were like an old porn star. They'll completely run out of their sexual marketplace value. And then they'll just, at that point, they'll just go to church. And with the church, Obsidian, you know who their end of life coach is? Their pastor. That's who their end of life coach is. But they don't want you to tell them when to go see them. They want to wait till they're like 55, 65 before they start going to see that dude. And he's going to be the man that they covet until they die. And he's going to pay that man very well for coveting him, as David Carroll always always, he's pretty much like the pastor expert when it comes to that shit.
I
So
think that,
that's what's going to happen. It doesn't matter. Like, I get what you're saying, and you can say it, and there's validity in it, and maybe a couple of women will pick up on that, but for the most part, we know how it is. Oh, the other part too is what they're doing is they're, as far as the old playbook, is now they're trying to make it like men that date younger women. They're trying to apply that to some like predatory vibes to that. And you even got dudes like Jason Black that are starting to low key try to promote that shit. Or now dudes that are 50 or 40 and they get their money, or they may have had their money, they're like living their best life. The shit the women are doing, they're trying to apply to the men. So the biggest threat that I see is them trying to find another man that could kind of replace that Derrick Jackson mantle. They can, and then Jason would be like one of the ones that could try. That has like, but the problem is you can't see him, so there's ways to knock the shit he says down. But that's what they're looking for. But anyway, I'll fall back.
All right, opinionated brother ready on the bill with the super chat. Appreciate it. Shout out to you, appreciate you. Go ahead. Wait, hold on. Wait before I pass it back to Obsidian because heard you trying to jump in there. Sun is hot, Ra in the building. He says, "Hey Bernard, can you give me my own personalized appreciation?" The Blade quote: "Some mother effers are always trying to ice skate uphill, like Mr. Snuggles. LOL. Give you your own personalized." Oh wait, you talking about how I got the personalized super chat thing for Snuggles? Hey, she earned that, man. She the $5 super chat champion of the world. You got to take a minute to earn that one. Take a minute to earn that one.
What's the price on it? I guess that's what he had. What's the price? 100, 200?
I don't know. I never even thought about it like that. I just know that she used to $5 me to death, so I ended up giving her own little.
Hi, I'm Snuggles.
But I don't know. I never thought about it. I'll think about that. I'll think about that. But there are a few other people that I do got in mind when giving them their own little personalized acknowledgement. I got all kind of funny ideas in my head, so just stay tuned. But where was we at? Shoot. Somebody else said something. There we go. And yeah, and that was you, I believe, that I missed your last super chat. Yeah, he said that was me who donated. I said Mrs. Black came in to save her husband, like Marvel's Invincible Black Iron Man. Paco gave me D Jackson vibes, though. Yeah, definitely. But his thought process, I could tell it ran deeper than Derrick Jackson. It was a whole different thing. Obsidian might want to break that one down, but
that
yeah,
nigga believes that bullshit. That's the difference.
Yeah,
Derrick don't believe this bullshit.
It ran deeper, but thank you for the super chat, Demetrius. Yeah, Demetrius, appreciate you. I'm gonna give you the $10 one because you donated $5 twice.
What do we get for $10? Everything you want. Everything? Everything.
All right, go ahead. Oh man, you got it.
Yeah. So I think there is an opportunity or opening here to kind of force that conversation through. I will agree with Ed on this point. It's not going to come from black women. They're not going to do it. It has to come from us. And I think Kevin has already kind of, forced the wedge open there, so we can kind of just drive it from there. Because he already has created some daylight for it. Yeah, we really do. We need to, move it in that discussion. We can bring it to the pro-black community's doorstep. Listen, this is a community. We got to frame it right. This is a community issue. We got a lot of black women who are alone,
can't make no money off
40
that.
and over. Hang on. We got a lot of black women that are alone, 40 and over. We need to have a public conversation about this. There's a lot of different ways we can force that discussion, and there's a lot of different angles and a lot of different ways we can do it. But I think that at this juncture, like for example, and we can use Kevin again as a kind of jumping off point. So a lot of black women, want what they want and are where they are. Fine. So now we have to move to the next point. Where do things go from this point? This is where you are. Okay, great. What's the plan for the rest of your days?
Do you think the pro-black community will really take that that serious. I mean, they still hold. They
No,
still
what
hold.
they're gonna
They
say
say
is polygamy.
they on their Hotep Queen Mother Goddess stuff. She's
They're gonna say
fine.
polygamy. That's what they're gonna say.
Well, that dog doesn't hunt. That doesn't work.
It makes money though.
No, but
That's
it
what they're
doesn't.
gonna say.
But it doesn't
Of
work.
course, but it's not about it working.
So
It's
so
about
so
making money.
so so
Hold on, wait. Obsidian, you probably can answer this because I've noticed. You interviewed that one woman, I think named Naf Shadai or something. I think she's been on your show a couple times, and she's
yeah.
a proponent of polygamy. Is she currently in a
The
polygamy
chick with the titties.
relationship?
I didn't hear that. What'd you say?
Is she currently the Naf Shadai chick? Is she currently in a polygynous situation?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think she is crazy. And even
Okay.
in Shara, like shout out to Shahrazad Ali for
But
watching
it
her
doesn't.
ass up.
See, this is the thing that, and it's going to have to come from the black manosphere. We are in a very. I don't think I talked about black women kind of being kind of.
Why should the manosphere care?
Trying to finish. So
yeah, go ahead and
No,
finish.
this is the next
Ed,
question.
sit on that question. That's a good question. Go ahead and sit on that one. We'll bring it up later. But go ahead, Obsidian.
Well, I'll answer this question first because now we can get to drive the conversation. For the past 30 years at least, and there's more on the line of upwards of 40 to tell you the truth. Black women have set the table of the conversation. I don't need to recount all the ways. We all know the litany. But this is a unique moment in time where now we're in a position to set the table. Because if you think about it, the black manosphere has spent pretty much all our time on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Responding to this, responding to that, debunking this, addressing that. But now we're in a period where we can go on the offense.
Okay.
And I think that we need to really bring it, in a real big way.
Well, understand what you're saying about getting on offense. I definitely understand that. I think, but Ed, that's a good question. While on offense, why is that a point that we should really care about driving home?
Because it shows that we're now in control of the conversation.
I know. I get that we're in control of the conversation, but if you're in control of the conversation,
and because nobody else has come up with a big idea that we need to do now that we're on the matter of fact, nobody else is even talking about us being on the offense other than me.
No, I understand that, but I think what I'm pointing at, acknowledging that now we're on offense and we should control the conversation and push out certain ideas and agendas or thought processes or whatever. I think what Ed is getting at, why that one? Why is that one
because
really important?
With a better idea.
Why is that one really?
Because nobody else with a better idea. Come up with a better idea.
I define offense as us expanding our marketplace, which is black men.
Black men aren't going to
like
do that.
Something that serves black women doesn't facilitate.
Black men aren't going to do that. Black men aren't going to do that. See, I agree with
black
you.
Black men aren't going to do
I agree with you, Ed, on the point that there are a lot of black women who don't want to deal with reality. I get that. I agree. But at the same time, there are a lot of brothers that don't want to do it either. We are where we are. My thinking is this. If black love is dead, can we at least have black civility? Can we at least be civil? I get we don't have to love, fine. Can we be civil? Because we all we got. Ain't nobody going nowhere. This is it. Can we at least be civil? I think that's a conversation worth having. Can we?
I mean, the conversation is definitely worth having, but I'm not even trying to throw a wet blanket on what you're talking about. But like I said, I define offense as expansion, and there's more content creators than ever before that are coming out. In fact, there's women, like even the conversations that you're talking about is made a lot more possible with even certain women coming into the conversation. Some of them are newer channels. Some of them are channels that were established in other places. like what I mentioned with Danica Marie, because I know you introduced her back into this space. Those conversations are being had with a different context because of some of the things you talked about as far as the resiliency of the manosphere, some of the things that have happened and already have happened. So as far as offense, the manosphere is growing, and it's not growing as fast as I would want it outside of, because you got Kevin, you got mediocre tutorial reviews. If
O'Shea
you look
growing
on the
like
low
crazy
end, you
too.
got newer channels like
Yeah.
for
I was just pointing out that
O'Shea.
O'Shea growing like crazy. We had like 140,000
You,
subs.
you
Real
got
quick,
like the
real quick.
Poor
Hold your
Man's
thought. Hold your
Podcast
thought,
is
Ed.
growing.
I'm about to lose all these super chats. Shout out to 357 IMG. He said they praise Margaret Sanger. They have no idea of the atrocious from the I think you mean the atrocities from the eugenics program that affects the black community. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that.
They
And
don't
I think
care. They know.
yeah.
Well, I mean, see,
But
I don't see the utility of that line of reasoning at this point, at this juncture. I think that we need
hold
to
on,
move.
oh man. Let me get my super chat. Shout out to thank you, Demetrius. See, he says I meant it. Miss Black is the Black Iron Woman. No, I got what you man. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. We got Shane Vicious in the building. He says the pro-black movement was infiltrated by feminists in the 70s, so a branch of it. If you're pro-black, then you're basically a feminist. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate you. We got Sick Lid in the building. These brothers are correct. Housing for old thoughts, church downstairs, and bunk beds upstairs. Yeah. That's what it's looking like. Patrick Armstrong says black women can keep this up all they want until Kevin gets on the Joe Rogan show and expose the truth about black women to the wider audience than just black people. I think you're being a little short-sighted on Kevin's reach. Everybody's watching Kevin. That ain't just black people. But thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. We also got hold on, Melody in the building with the super chat. Says hit the like button. Definitely hit the like button. I haven't been on y'all today about hitting the like button. Well, we got 272 likes and 497 people in here. Let's get that over 300 right now. If you didn't hit the like button when you came in, if you forgot, go ahead and take the time to hit it right now. There, I said it in the building. He said the manosphere is changing changing the mentality of the black male collective. See Rose and Sister George desperately promoting Paco as a return to normalcy. Yep, Simp Black Woman is God. Yeah, that's something worth talking about. Where even though they can't say what they have a predominantly male black manosphere audience, so they can't say what they want to say, but they for damn sure know how to bring people in to say it. Sort of like the Fox News host who don't want to say the crazy shit, but he'll bring somebody in for an interview to say it, and then he can pull his hands back. Hey, I'm just doing the interview. At the end, yeah, that's kind of what they're doing.
Trouble is that they don't do it very well, and the slip is they let the whole thing slip, and the curtain is pulled back, and we see the little guy there with the controls. So yeah, that's the problem with it. But in any event, the point that I was trying to get at is that Ed is right to say that the manosphere space is growing. That's true, but it's not just about growth itself. It's about the trajectory of the message. So the question has to be, what is the trajectory of the message? Ed said, well, guys exercising options. Look, for the most part.
I didn't say that, but
yeah, I don't think he said that. I don't remember him saying that at all.
He never asked that. I was never asked that question. I just went back to the why.
Well, let me ask you now then. What is the trajectory of the black manosphere message now that we are on offense? Now that we can set the table, what do you think it should be?
I think the message needs to, like BGS said, the gender war is dead. And it's dead because we know these women don't have an argument anymore. So that's what I mean. We know there's nothing there. So to answer your question directly, I think it needs to be self-improvement. Why? Because self-improvement allows us to hold men accountable. Self-improvement allows us to basically put armor around our image. because now it's time to completely sweep away a lot of the critiques that the manosphere gets. We had a need to actually say the things that we had to say because we had to basically disprove those arguments. Now that those arguments are disproven and that they have no new wells to go to, now it's time to basically kind of, I don't mean to say, I hate using the term mainstream, but we need to start like elevating even the critiques that a lot of these dudes try to have on us, which is that we're about, like, I'll give you a perfect example. There's a YouTuber that I listen to that I'm cool with, but he was talking about, he was just on today, but he was talking about gang. He wasn't talking about gang, but he was talking about how a lot of square dudes, they're always worrying about who women are sleeping with. And then I put in the chat, say that's not true. In this space, it's not about people worrying about who's sleeping with people. It's about the outcome to the extent, and then all black men have to pay for that debt. And then basically what happened was it became folks start preaching the gospel of the game to me. Like, well, the real players and blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I'm tired of that conversation. And now it's time for dudes to come in this space and really be like, okay, this is how you get to the point where you can live your best life. If that's with a black woman, sure. If it's not, okay. But this community argument, well, we've established that black women are not interested in any kind of community that has black men having any kind of influence. So therefore, that's a conversation, quite frankly, if as a group we don't need to have. So
Okay, so so my response to that, and I'll hand it over to Game Changer after this, is okay. First of all, that message,
people can pick a lane.
That message has already been disseminated and is already out there into the bloodstream of the black manosphere. Nobody seriously disagrees with it. Nobody does.
No, it's not. I didn't say there was a debate. So you said the debate. You said a conversation, not a debate.
Let me finish. I said nobody seriously disagrees with it. Nobody does. So I'm thinking the problem I have with this line of thinking black women hang on. Black women not
let them rock, Ed. Let them rock.
The problem I'm having with this conversation of black women don't care. We're gonna go over here. Black women are integrated into our lives. When I'm not just talking about some type of separate country. I'm talking about us. We have to find a way.
There is no us.
Let me finish.
That's an illusion. Go ahead, though.
So your mom, there's no us with you and your mom or the other females members in your family.
Okay, now I gotta call it time because I don't know how this conversation got to what are y'all talking about and why? I must have missed something.
Here's what I'm getting at. Here's what I'm getting at. The black women 40 and above, they're not a separate country. They're part of our families too. I was watching I can't remember the particular show, but it was last week. Kevin was going back and forth with one sister, and he had said rather at one point in their conversation, he doesn't, we all know what his spiel is, but die alone, so on, so forth. And he said, listen, this isn't a arid debating point for me. I actually have aunts in my family who wound up this way.
Yeah, I heard that.
We had to deal with that. I'm saying that this idea that there's a separate country over there, that's not true. This is a very intimate conversation, whether we like it or not. We're going to have to deal with this one way or the other. One way or the other is going to happen. And I'm saying it doesn't have to be a crash. It can be a soft landing. We don't have to crash and burn here. That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying that the black manosphere is in a position
that's outside the scope of support of the manosphere, in my opinion.
Pardon?
Yeah, I don't for one, I don't really care. Like if a aunt, so generally speaking, we're not talking about good people. We're talking about horrible women who are so horrible that men wouldn't tolerate them.
That includes aunts.
Edward, we're talking about women who are so horrible that men wouldn't tolerate them, even for free pussy. Let's be clear, which means that she probably wasn't the best aunt either. she's not a good human being, and therefore you generally don't enjoy her company, and she dies alone in a cheap nursing home. Like, what am I gonna do? Let her live in my spare room? No, I don't care. Like I genuinely don't care. Nor should anyone. Is what I'm saying is I'm sitting is that it's not our responsibility, or it's not in our purview or anything like that. It's the crappy aunt that really just didn't get you anything when you were a kid for Christmas. She got you socks and drawers. What am I going to do with that? You think I wrote to Santa, I want socks and drawers? You think that any kid actually says, you know what I need for Christmas? Underwear? No, you're a shit grandma, or you're a shit auntie. And you lived a life that you deserve for getting me underwear when you were a kid for Christmas. So yeah, and remember that time I wanted Chuck E. Cheese tokens and you gave me nickels and laughed as I tried to put it in the machine? This is your reward. See, it's all coming back to you. Don't care.
All right, where I'm at with it.
Well, I mean, come on, man. You made it.
Hold on, real quick. Hold on. Let me say this. I understand that the conversation is going to come up. Well, look at what Kevin Samuels is doing, where it's basically women, middle age, and talking about they want something that they clearly can't get. And he's basically just saying, hey, if you keep that same dating criteria, you're going to die alone. And that's that. But I don't think that should be the driving highest priority thing for the manosphere to talk about. What are we going to do with old women? Like, I mean, that's not necessarily the most driving thing. But real quick, I don't mind it getting touched on in the context that Kevin Samuels does it in the conversation, because it ultimately, the conversation organically ends up there. If you follow the logic all the way to its logical conclusion, the conversation will end up there. Okay, yeah, if you keep that up, you're gonna die alone, surrounded by cats, and that's that. So I mean, again, that's the extent that we should talk about it.
Panel question. Let me ask the panel a question. I'm just curious. Do you agree or disagree with the proposition that black men are the leaders of the black community? Yes or no?
I think that black men are accountable. However, we are
as of now, no, they're not.
We have.
Should they be? Yes. Are they? No.
So we have power we have accountability without power. So no.
No. All right, go ahead, Ed.
Okay, the answer is no, they are not. Should they be? Yes. Are they? No. And here's my thing. No. And I want to make this very clear, because my mother was brought up, and I'm not about to go off or anything. My mother is 60 years old. She will be 60 May 26th. And I want to be very clear. One of the reasons why I say you have to stop looking at your mom like a god is because a lot of these dudes haven't cut their umbilical cords. My mom has lived a life. She's the youngest in her family. And according to my grandfather, rest in peace, my mom has lived a life of doing what the fuck she wanted to do the whole way through. Okay. And the reality is, it is not fuck the leadership bullshit. Because part of leadership is letting shit happen so the next generation understands what the consequences are. So leadership doesn't go one way. And the hold on. And the problem with black men is leadership is not cleaning up after people. So I'll say this to be practical. Hold on, I'm not finished. I'm gonna say this to be practical. If black women are in denial about it, it is not the responsibility of black men, and that includes in your family. And yes, I've had women in my family that you found, and my position on it is black men. The only part of this that matters is black men, in my opinion, is black men need to be mentally prepared that it's gonna happen and have no fucks given about it when it does happen. And that goes, and if you're, and here's the thing. If your mother, here's the thing, if you try to help, let's say if your mother, you have no influence on your mother, you have no influence on your health or anything, if you bring this up and she doesn't care, there is no amount of effort that needs to be put there. She made her choice. And this is that little boy shit where you're trying to save mom. Let my mom won't say that, then they lose their mind. But you just gonna have to let shit take over what's gonna take over, because you still have your life to live.
Right. All right.
What do you say, Bernard?
To the question, ask the question again.
Do you agree or disagree with the proposition? I did not make it up. Are black men the leaders of the black community? Yay or nay?
I can't. The question that almost doesn't even make sense to me in a free country where all individuals are free to do what they want to do and live in a way where it's organized. Some individuals are live in an organized, structured way. Some people are outright chaotic. And so I don't even know how you can name one gender
The
group.
real question is, do
even
women
know.
have authority in the community? That's what the question should be.
I still even in other communities, I think that's individually based because the women are free. So I don't know how you would have to show. Hold on, real quick, everybody. I can hear background noise. You would have
That's
to
how you know the
talk
answer
about
is no.
that. Well, the answer may very well be no, but I don't even think that the alternative that women are the leaders of the community. I don't think that's true either. In order to name,
I'm not making an
what?
argument. No, that's not what I'm saying
Okay.
today. What I'm saying is we don't have influence like this. I know what he's asking. It's a trap.
Okay, all right. Let me take it here. Men should have for a society to function in its most optimal way. Men should, in some type of collective way, have influence over women.
Bernard,
but I would argue,
question.
I would argue in this country in a collective way. White men technically don't got that because white women are free to do what they want, however they want, whenever they want.
Bernard, the perfect question is to then ask, well, don't we have a responsibility to do?
So I don't know. It's too much to unpack when you ask. I can't give a straight yay or nay answer to it.
It's their responsibility to handle the consequences. That's what liberty and freedom is. And you said that the other day. You said that yesterday.
No, I agree. Hold on, real quick, Obsidian. And I agree, and that's why I can't answer a yay or nay on either side, because people are free to do what they want and they get what they get as an outcome, and no particular gender group is leading anything in that regard. In a country this damn free. So that's why I have a problem with Obsidian's question. But go ahead, Obsidian. Go ahead and go wherever you're going with this.
Yeah, the reason why I asked the question is because over the years I have noticed, and this hasn't come from within the black manosphere proper itself, but it has been a question raised in relation to the black manosphere. In other words, people would be debating various figures from the black manosphere, and they would often utter the phrase, because black men are the leaders. I've been giving that a lot of thought, and I'm somewhere more in alignment.
Well, that's a lie.
Ed, real talk, Ed. You kind of interrupting too much. Just pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of in more in alignment with Bernard, because as the black manosphere continues to grow, gain influence, gain mainstream exposure, possibly a degree of credibility, a real question becomes what we do with the influence we have, and what our relationship is to a black community, which does include black women, if any, and if none, then where we go from there. I honestly don't have all the answers to those questions. I've just been thinking it through, and that's the reason why I pose them to all of you, because I'm kind of agnostic on the question myself, the same way Bernard is. I'm kind of agnostic on it for precisely the reasons he said. So I really don't know.
Well, why would you? Well, Obsidian, why would you ask? Okay, so say we are the leaders of the community, then you have the authority of a leader, and you execute that authority. If we're not the leaders of the community, then it's not our responsibility. Therefore, the question doesn't really need to be asked at all.
Right. Well,
So, you're speaking, and I think the reason why you're kind of in this conundrum is because you feel responsible for something that you don't have power over.
No, I don't.
And well, okay.
So why?
Okay. Then nevertheless, then your auntie is not your responsibility. Neither is any chick who chooses to live a lifestyle that's to the detriment of others.
But we do have a question. There is a question here of I listen to a lot of brothers in the black manosphere. Now I'm going to talk about us. I listen to a lot of brothers in the black manosphere talking about Kevin is going mainstream. So and so is going mainstream, or the black manosphere is mainstream, or the black manosphere, pick whatever talking point, is going mainstream. And I often wonder, why does that matter to us so much? Why does the idea of going
you got to ask them. You got to
Obsidian,
ask them. That's them being
yeah,
emotionally
Obsidian, real
hyped up.
quick, you're making Edward, please. You're making a counter argument to an argument nobody on the panel posed.
No, I know. I didn't say anybody did make the argument. I'm just simply making an observation.
Well, we can't answer the question. It's a great observation, but we can't really answer the question.
I didn't say that. Did you?
Yeah, we can't really answer the question because no one's really here is worried about, you know, Kevin Samuels.
Right. And I'm asking, what I'm getting at here is power. What I'm getting at here are questions of power. And I'm asking, okay, what does that mean exactly?
It don't mean taking care of the old motherfuckers. If anything, you should be focused on how do you gain influence over the younger.
That don't deserve it. But I mean,
but game changer. If we're gonna talk about, because you have finite resources for stuff like that, the focus should be what the emerging black populace is, not what the people in there already in their fucking rear view is. And this is why I tend to, because City, you always want to change the conversation to folks that are 40 and over as far as women. They are washed. They have this, like, even if you look at the only value they have is economic. And that's to the extent that you want to tap them economically. Other than that, and even to that, that's a declining return when it comes to women versus men. So they have no sexual market, well, not enough sexual market. So if anything, you will want, like, for instance, if you're going to talk to somebody in a manosphere, like these newer channels or established channels, do you want a whole bunch of older black, even men, or do you want younger people that are emerging into their mid-20s or going in the 30s? That's where you fuck the numbers. I'm just talking about from a influence standpoint or power standpoint. This thing about helping to rest delusional women, you got the mental institution about it. Quite frankly, the church already has control of that market. Like they're just gonna go to the church because the church can offer them emotional crack and cocaine, which is not something that you can offer, especially if you're talking about some end of life. Because I'm gonna tell you, black women, when you hear end of life care shit, all they're hearing you say is, bitch, you're washed. Let me help you prepare for your funeral. That's the only thing they hear when you say that.
Well, I didn't know you were to speak for them, but okay. So that's why.
All right, hold on. We're gonna move forward. We're gonna go to the Prophet of Thought, the brother Xavier of the Prophet of Thought series. But hold on, before we do that, Cole's still in the building with a super chat. He says, "What about polygamy with at least 2 women for every high value?" Okay, well, I don't know where we're going. Okay, with polygamy for at least 2 women for every high value man. That was the system for most of human history, as well as for most mammals. My position on that is, you get what you negotiate, go for it. I don't think you can. Again, going back to this free country, you can't structure it. Individuals are going to go and get what they negotiate. So that's all to it right there. But shout out to Keith Williams in the building with the super chat. Appreciate you. And I do believe, hold on real quick. Hold up. Give me one quick second. Gotta scroll down. Mr. Shanovich is in the building. It says black women want black men to have responsibility without authority. Yes, that's been more or less established.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
And shout out to the $5 super chat champion of the world.
Hi, I'm Snuggle.
Says, can you play my special song to quell the fury of the masses, please? And Jessica X, are you in here? And are you what the fuck? Okay, I'm gonna yeah, all right, we're gonna move forward. Brother Xavier in the building, go ahead, you got the floor, you have the mic.
Peace, Brother Bernard. Peace, all the brothers on the panel, man. I've been listening for a little while, and all of y'all are right. But all of y'all are also wrong. I'm going to give y'all a number. That number is $26,965. That's how much money I've paid either paying the bulk or all the fees for a funeral since the year of 2018. And every single one of those funerals, 4 of them I paid for out of my own pocket, were old women, one in her 80s, 3 in her 70s, 3 of them in their 70s. Now, it may not cost you now. You're not financially responsible for them now. But as these women age, right? And each one of these women grew old alone, all right? 2 of them, they were found dead in their apartments. The other 2 died in a nursing home, all right? And no one had money to pay for these funerals. Me and Brother Obsidian has talked about this over the years. I paid for like 4 funerals, man, in like the past, 3 years of old women who died, who didn't have life insurance. Their family didn't have any money to help bury them. So what happened? These people came to me. They came to me and my wife. All right. So if you're a person who has a degree of resources, people will come to you and you will eventually pay for these women. You may not pay for them in their 30s and 40s, but when they creep up in their 60s and their 70s and their 80s, guess what? They'll be at your door. They'll be on your phone saying, oh, we don't got enough money to bury mama. We don't got enough money to bury grandma. We ain't got enough money to bury auntie. All right. So when you have these situations, man, I mean, it seems like nothing now. But if you're a person with a little degree of resources and you got these people that are related to you that don't have shit and haven't planned and they asses grow old, you may not be paying for them now. But trust me, when they get old and decrepit and finally meet their maker, you will be paying for them later. Take it from me.
Teapot, what happens if you don't pay?
I don't know what happens, brother Game Changer.
Try it.
I'm not that kind of a guy. I know it's bullshit. I know it is, and people may say, "Oh man, you're being a simp for these people." But when you have people come to you and they say, "Oh, my aunt died and they didn't have no insurance," or "My grandmama died," or whoever died and they didn't have any insurance, we need $5,000, we need $6,000, we need $3,000, we need this. I mean, it's hard to say no to that type of situation, brother Game Changer. I know it is for me. All right. I guess because I'm just an old Negro. But, it's hard when someone comes to you and say, hey, we need $5,000 to finish paying for grandma's funeral. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what happens if you don't pay. Maybe they'll go to somebody else. Maybe they'll start a GoFundMe. I don't know. But you will end up paying. You will.
And I get what you're saying. But
or
how much of the manosphere's time should be focused on having discussions about what we're going to do with women who are 40 right now and 20, 25 years down the road when they're going to be dying alone? What are we going to do? And I hate doing this because I normally don't like to try to intuit what somebody's motivation is. But I'm just so I'll before I go to Pablo, I'll ask Obsidian, what's the motivation in it's okay. I'll just go ahead and say what it sounds. It sounds like you're trying to drive home the point to create a sense of urgency for Black women over 40 to get with a man. I'm trying to figure out what's the motivation here.
Well, there is some truth in what you're saying. Not necessarily get with a man, but to really get to thinking about what the rest of their days are going to be, and to get all this together. Because as Brother Xavier points out,
are you trying to fearmonger them into just getting with you, Obsidian?
No. Okay, what I'm saying is that there is, as Brother Xavier's very poignant personal account gets to, this is a major point of tension and turmoil in families. And And it's something that I think we do need to give. I mean, here's another thing that the black manosphere needs to get his arms around. So last month we had, they say death comes in threes. We had 3 major hip hop figures, all Gen Xers, die off. Black Rob, DMX, Shock G. Now, I get the idea of, living your best life, and self-improvement. I'm for all of that. But there's no discussion on the black male side about this stuff either. I mean, we act like as if we're all like 25. I mean, the average guy in the black manosphere is like around 40. And it's very possible for you to just keel over with a big heart attack and be done. And then what? What's your succession plan? See, for the ladies is do you have a hospice care plan? For the fellas is, do you have a succession plan? That's a real conversation to have.
All right. Shout out to Morgan Returns. He says, this is why I say nice guys don't finish last. Pookie and Ray Ray and the women that choose them finish last. Many of them die alone and in poverty. Shout out to Ike in the chat. He says, men can die alone. It's all good. Shout out to Ike. Ike is somebody who's gonna get his own special bomb explode or something. I don't know. I'm like, there's a few people that's gonna get their own little thing. But I want a game changer real quick, and then I'm gonna go to Pablo and Fantastic. But real quick, make it fast, game changer. I want to get Pablo and Fantastic in here.
No, I think that I'm just saying, I don't think we should give too much attention to this particular topic because it's at the end, it's really not our responsibility to take care of deplorable people. And this isn't a shot at Brother X's people. But generally speaking, if a person finds themselves in that situation who's not barren, they probably was just an awful human being. So we have to there's a reason that the people in her immediate circle are impoverished. Some people will hold you down economically, and she's one of those because 100% of the people who were in her vicinity is impoverished and they can't afford a funeral. I mean, it's, and as far as, the men go, we should think about, listen, men die in a ditch in Iraq. Like it's really not that big of a deal to, at least not to me. I don't want to give that particular thing too much attention. After Pablo and Fantastico, I do want to state the reason that I did come up.
Oh, I'm bad. I didn't realize you didn't even get to do that. But no, I definitely make sure get back to you on that. Black people, life insurance. Life insurance. That's all I got to say. Pablo, go ahead.
Yeah, man. I wanted to answer a question that Obsidian posed, which was, well, why all the hand wringing from certain content creators or whatever about other content creators going mainstream, right? Here's the thing. For the same reason you got other adult men who attack the passport bros, why you going over there? Why you gotta go all the way over there for women or this or that? Because there is a contingent of black men who don't want to be left behind. The men on this panel have skills and abilities to compete in the global marketplace. There are groups of men who do not. And when they see that, they're afraid to be left on the plantation. That's why they don't want to see any cultural changes in the subculture that we're living in, the Black American subculture. They want to keep it like it is. Because if you change that and you actually have to begin to compete in the global marketplace, they're not sure that they can compete. They want to compete in the subculture because it's easier for them. That's the why. That's why you had the guy up there on Concrete Rose's channel talking that crazy shit. I heard it. It's totally nonsensical. But that's the reason why he's comfortable in it.
All right. Mr. Fantastic, go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic. Thanks, Pablo.
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, so you guys are on a different part of the conversation, but yeah, the whole reason why is because, hey man, shout out to Pablo. Listen, and I'm gonna be doing a stream on this, bro. All men are not created equal. All right.
Mhm.
We're way past the Declaration of Independence, and unfortunately, a lot of black men have this fallacy of just because every black man is the same. No, we're not a monolith. We're not the same. If you don't have skills, if you don't have abilities, if you're not marketable, if you're not versatile, bro, you're just a walking penis. All right, you are the prototypical black man, and the stereotype we're trying to live down. And dudes feel like just because they're a black man, they're on the same level as black men that are clearly more qualified, more capable, and more influential. So that's why we constantly hear this thing to where you have people that have no footing, real footing in the space, trying to comment on the trajectory of the space. People that have been trying to find their way in the space, but I don't know how long, and seriously trying to do this YouTube thing, and lo and behold, somebody comes along and they feel like this is their shot, this is their lottery ticket, their Powerball ticket, and it's just not the case, bro. Because again, you're just not built for this. We're not all the same. So that's why Obsidian, we keep hearing this talk about mainstream, because a lot of dudes are dependent upon YouTube. They really think YouTube is going to be their ticket to success because they have no other life skills. And I mean, if you take that as a shot, hit dog gonna holler. But again, Obsidian, how many years you have in the skills trades before you switched to broadcasting? Is Obsidian there? Can you guys hear me?
Oh man, he asked you a direct question. Are you available? Are you there?
Well, if he stepped away, it's 22 years.
I stepped away from the mic. I didn't hear you. To tell you the truth, I was in the kitchen. All right, so I came back in the kitchen. Could you please repeat the question?
I said, how many years did you have under your belt as a skilled tradesman?
22, right out of high school.
22 years. Brother X, how many years you have, Brother X, in your field, brother? X, are you there?
Yeah, as it
How many
stands right
years
now,
you got on your belt?
31.
31.
Right now.
So again, it's a lot of dudes out here that feel like they could be on the Obsidian and the Brother X era. When again, these are brothers who carved out their niche in life first, and now they're just turning to YouTube as a secondary form or something they can just relax on in their leisure. They're not dependent upon it. A lot of these dudes out here are dependent upon YouTube because again, social media is lucrative. Okay, a lot of Dunning-Kruger going on out around here, and a lot of dudes feel like they are on the level of they're just not. And so they're the ones that are trying to drive this the mainstream. So that's why these conversations keep coming up. And you should be listening to the sources of where it really is, because I mean, shout out to Kevin Samuels, Kevin Samuels is of course doing his thing. But at the end of the day, like you said, that individual's man's success doesn't necessarily equal success for everybody else. Yeah, you're going to get a couple residual views or whatnot from, covering his things and stuff like that. But ultimately, like I said, are you going to garner his same exact success and be in his boat just because you're talking about him? No. You need to be focused on cutting out your own lane and not having to depend upon another content creator for your content. But, hey, lo and behold, it works. And a lot of dudes are banking on that.
Right on. Sick Lid in the building with the super chat. Appreciate you. He says, screw those kids, screw those old thoughts, and screw those old rappers. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Appreciate you. Game changer. You have something. You can go ahead and go back to whatever it was that you had came on the panel for. Go ahead. You got the mic.
Okay, thank you. So to the original topic, and I haven't seen the show. I did get the thumbnail for it, but I didn't see the show where they were talking something about male feminists. You got to understand how agendas is pushed, in relationships as well as just into societies. So what we are in the process of is called a bait and switch. Obsidian, something, I think you have like an echo or something going on.
I'll mute Obsidian. Obsidian, just unmute yourself, just unmute yourself when you're ready to talk. All right, go ahead, Game Changer.
Yeah, so we had it's a bait and switch tactics. Now this is often used by women who seduce a man, you know, individually. They say, "Oh, I'm submissive, I'm submissive, I'm submissive. Here's your sandwich, you know. What else would you like, you know?" Until they feel comfortable enough to show their true selves, you know. And I want fellas to watch out for that. Now, initially, if you look at the body of work of the breakdown, you know, you have what appears to be an attempt to have a fair and balanced conversation. But then later, as that's the bait, and then once you get a bunch of men to the channel, and this now has a place. There's now a podium for feminists of all type, male, female, etc., fat and fatter. You know, you have feminists of all types who will get up on their thing and like, okay, this is my chance to get my message to a group of men who trust in the system or in the form to which it's delivered. But if you look closer, it's like, wait a minute, how come one side seems to be policed a lot more than the other? One side seems to be interrupted a lot more than the other. One side seems to be given the mic a lot more than the other. See, that is the switch. We're now going through the process of the switch. And I point out this tactic, not to bash the breakdown, but to have men aware that these tactics exist, that there is a such thing as long-term deception, and that you should be aware of it when dealing with women in your individual lives.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I agree with you 100%. I see what they're doing there. I definitely see what they're doing there. But whatever. I mean, I don't even know what else to say about it. I've said all I can say about that. Man of Tomorrow is requesting the link. Man of Tomorrow want the link, so there it is right there for Man of Tomorrow. As we wait for Man of Tomorrow to come up, I am interested to hear what he's going to have to say about this. Anybody else got anything they want to jump in on in particular? Anybody?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. For
go ahead.
For the fact that back to the topic originally. Listen,
Yeah.
man, this male feminism shit. We have to be aware that again, this space poses a real threat. Not only is it men, it's black men speaking freely and speaking our opinions about whatever the subjects may be, political, relationship, marriage, all of these things. Very hell, finances. Shout out to all the dudes that are picking up on the financial thing lately. Listen, bro. You have to understand the position that you are in. So if and when you decide to pick up that microphone and turn it on and go live or push that broadcast video for upload that video, you know what I mean, and unprivate it or unlist it, make it public. You have to understand what you do and what comes with it. A lot of dudes are you know, very, very fair weather, as we've seen here within the recent couple days. A lot of dudes are cool to get down with the stuff when it's cool, but when they feel like it's getting too hot, and we do cover a whole lot of hot button topics, and we have a lot of true, raw, true to form male mentality that's expressed here, and some dudes just aren't built for it. Okay, if you're not built for it, bro, hey, like they say, stay on the porch. Okay, yeah, just stay in the stands and support or hate or do whatever you're gonna do from there. But don't pick up the mantle, man, and say you for the team, and then switch jerseys and be one of these people that are worse than the females trying to tear down a whole bunch of black men because you got scared. Just saying.
Are you talking about somebody in particular? No, just playing. Go ahead, Man of Tomorrow. You got the floor. You got the mic. Well, hold on, wait, real quick. It looked like. Well, I'm gonna get to that. Xavier. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. I'm gonna get to that X. Go ahead, Man of Tomorrow.
And along with not Obsidian, Mr. Fantastic statement about the mainstream is going to protect all the other people who have actually been in the league for a while. Like, listen, you don't know who Jordan's teammate was. You don't know who any of these people's teammates were when they actually hit the pros. Most times, all the other members on the team don't even make it most of the time. It's normally focused on the best of the best of the best in that particular time, in that particular system, in that particular city. And it's like, You know, a lot of people are not ready to sit down in front of, like media people and have conversations with women. Like they can't even have conversations with women online without asking dumbass day one questions, man. Like there's a lot of people who I don't want representing the space up there on the mainstream, man. So it's like you got to understand that you got to have the background for it. You got to understand that your current associations, everything is going to be under scrutiny, man. Everything. It's like when you go up for your top secret clearance, like every 5 years. Everything in your phone, everything everywhere, everything's under the spotlight forever. And it's like a lot of people want to be um, not disciplined once they get there. Like, pay attention to the discipline of what happens once that spotlight is on you. Pay attention to that. If you think you can survive that type of criticism, that type of spotlight, then yeah, maybe you're ready for it. But like the rhetoric alone is not going to get you there. It was never the rhetoric alone because everybody can have the same type of rhetoric, but it's the personality along with the rhetoric, and it's just that sometimes, man, you just ain't the dude. That's it. I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, it's no harm, no foul, but everybody here is sharper than the sword. But you never know who's gonna get their next chance to cut. But I don't think I think this mainstream talk is crazy. I think that people riding one guy for all of their content is nuts. It makes the whole space look weak. It makes the space look like they have no creativity. It makes the space look like once the air is out of the room on one topic, that we can't even do any other thing except for talk about one specific issue. And shout out to them girls for having that male feminist on. Now you know there's a bunch of male feminists in this space that act, look, and sound the same way. So that's why I'm glad all these people are here, man, because you're never going to get this um, petri dish of Black America together in one place. You just never gonna get it like this anywhere. Not that I've seen. So thanks for having me on, man.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
I have a question for Mr. Fantastic.
Wait, hold your thought on that question, brother Xavier. You got something that you wanted to say here?
Yeah, just want to get in a shameless plug. Brother Bernard Riley from the Grown Man Hour, which you are watching at this present time, will be squaring off against Brother SKC, and the debate will be, is macroevolution scientific? And also, Brother MOT, Brother MOT will be in the house Thursday night for a one-on-one. We're going to get at some things. I'm glad he's here. And as far as the male feminist thing goes, we got to realize, man, that a lot of us are raised by feminine people. So it should come as no surprise that a lot of us men are freaking feminists. We were raised with a feminine ideology. We were raised underneath a feminine pathology. So it should come as no surprise that a lot of brothers, even the brothers on YouTube, happen to be male feminists. With that, I will say peace to all the brothers on the panel. I look forward to seeing everybody this week. Make sure your black behinds are there, because if you don't, I will haunt your old black ass mama in her dreams. Peace, folks.
Peace, sir.
Shout out to X. Yeah. He's gonna haunt your mama, but he will also help pay for her funeral as well. Anyway, I just had to throw that one out there. Go ahead, Obsidian.
Yeah, I was just curious. I heard Mr. Fantastic making a reference. Did I miss something there?
As far as what I say?
Yeah, you were saying things get hot and people kind of go left, and I'm trying to. Did I miss something in that?
Well, no, I mean, it wasn't anything missed. I thought I articulated myself pretty clearly. There have been a number of individuals who, were claiming the manosphere and down with the manosphere and all these different things. But as of late, they turned to where there's been this rhetoric about Black manosphere being women haters, these misogynists. Everybody's an incel. all of us have issues with women and all these different things, you know, and they do certain interviews with people that stalk the manosphere. Oh, I'm sorry, tracking the black manosphere. So yeah, you know, just just pick a side, man. Don't be this guy that, you know, when things get hot and get contentious or whatnot, you turn and you fold like a woman. I mean, that's again, those men in ancient times, those men will be executed because you, again, if you refuse to die on the battlefield, well, hey, you were going to die anyway. We just going to make an example out of you. So, you know, you at least encourage everybody else to die an honorable death in defense of their country, their women, their children, their brother, their sister, their mother, their father. You know what we're all fighting for versus being a turncoat and turning around and running away from battle. So if you're gonna die either way, why not die righteously? You know what I'm saying? But a lot of dudes want to run away. You know, we're not even talking anything that's really controversial on that level here. That's what I don't even understand. These are simple words. So if you can't trust a person to stand on the words and the thing they say, again, I know y'all feel the type of way about me, but anything I say, bro, I can stand on it. And like MOT said, even the most controversial things that I say here, I promise you, you sit me down on CNN, MSNBC, or wherever, and I will talk to you just like I'm the world's greatest politician. Okay, not one cuss word, not anything, and you know, and I will break that thing down to a science. I can defend that. I stand on that. So again, a lot of people aren't comfortable doing that in that situation. Like MOT said, man, if you're not comfortable, bro, hey, you're just not that guy, and stay elsewhere, bro. We don't need you over here.
Gotcha.
Yeah, real quick before you go any further, this is not that important because I really don't care what a random individual says, but he says I'm a proud misogynist. I think you should look up the definition of misogynist. I think you mean chauvinist. I can understand being a proud chauvinist, proud misogynist. That's I can't rock with that one. But look at the difference between misogynist and chauvinist. I think you mean chauvinist. Chauvinist, okay, misogynist, nah. No, for real. You can be a proud chauvinist.
People don't know that. Like, dude, it's just amazing people use the words and they don't even know what it means.
Well, yeah. I think that he's in his defense, I think that the word is used on him so often that he's just like, yeah, call me what you want. You know, I'm proud of it, and I'm going to continue with being who I am.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like being called cheap when you're actually just pretty reasonable and not going to spend a whole bunch of money on something that's unreasonable.
Exactly. After a while, you'll just say, okay, forget it. I'm cheap and I'm proud. Call me what you want. You know, I'm not going to spend $900 on a pair of shoes. Like,
gotcha. Everyday Valley in the building. He says, what are the details on the debate with you in it, BR? He read the title. It says Macroevolution Scientific. I am taking the position that it is. SKC is taking the position that it isn't, and we will be debating that topic. Oh, yeah. No, that ain't no shock right there with what position SKC's taking right there. But thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. We also got Debo W in the building. Says shootouts to no timeouts. Shout out to you. Appreciate you.
But but Bernard, there's an actual field called macro and micro evolution. That's fields of study of science. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. No, I'm not even saying nothing. I'm not about to say nothing. I'm not.
Okay. All right.
I'm not going to give away an argument right now.
Carry on, sir.
But Stickler in the building says Socrates ran for his life instead of dying on the battlefield with his family members. Went on to be the world's greatest philosopher. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. The super chat. All right, go ahead. Obsidian, I think you were trying to jump in at one point. At least I think you were.
About what?
Oh, never mind. If you weren't, then no. We're at the 3 hour and 30-minute mark. This is the time where I damn near run out of spit and don't got nothing else to say. We can almost wrap it up or do closing statements unless anybody got anything, any particular thing, any particular direction they want to take it, anything you could throw it out there. But I do. I about ran out of spit.
Yeah. I really don't think it's a question of whether feminism at this point. I see it as like the like my fellow Republicans fighting on to try to overturn Roe v. Wade. That battle was lost. Instead, the way I look at it is what are the outcomes of, in this case, black feminism? Okay, so the ladies have the right to do this, that, fine. What are the outcomes? See, I think one of the big problems with feminism is the assumption or the conceit that all freedoms are good freedoms, or that all decisions are good decisions.
No.
And I think that's the major failing of the idea. So what happens when black women, go afield too far with their freedoms? For example, take the whole notion of assault, right? A sex assault, to be brutally frank. Okay. So, and street harassment and so forth. So, what role do black women play in that at all? I mean, what role, if any, do they have to play in that? What about the situation with single moms, a topic that we talk about frequently in the black manosphere? What role does she play in that? Or is she just simply a passive victim? It seems to me that a lot of black women want rights and to assert themselves when it's beneficial to do so, and then want to claim victimhood when the bill comes due. That's the problem. I don't have a problem with black women being free to do whatever they want to do. The problem I have is they don't want to pay the bill when the bill comes due. And that's the reason why I do understand Game Changer and Ed's response to my earlier question, because there is something to be said for that. If you've lived a life, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. If you lived a life basically as a bitch and a battle axe, at some point, the cumulative effect of that type of way of life is going to come back down on you. And it is a real question to ask other people who had nothing to do with your decisions, to essentially bail you out. That's a fair point. That's a very fair point. And that's another reason why you asked earlier, Bernard, what were my motivations in having that conversation I was talking about earlier?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the conversations. To me, the question of feminism at this point, whether we should have it, whether it's good or not, whether it's affecting, the relationship between black men and black women, those questions are old. That ship has sailed. The question now is, what are the outcomes and consequences and responsibilities of black women exercising their rights, freedoms, and choices under a black feminist rubric? That's the way the conversation has to go. And I think Game Changer, I think he makes a good point. Look, if you live your life a certain way, you reap a certain result. I can't say he's wrong about that. Because any one of us, any five of us, all men here, and he said it himself. Men die in a ditch in Iraq. You got guys dying under a bridge all the time. That's true. Any five of us, we're all five men up on this panel right now. If any one of us makes a bad decision, ain't nobody coming to bail us out. A bad business decision, a bad personal life decision, whatever, a bad health decision. If we make a bad decision, ain't nobody bailing us out. So that's a good point. I can't disagree. That's why I didn't say anything when he said it, because I can't deny that he makes a point.
Mm-hmm. I got a question for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, how do you help people who abused infinite choice? How could you possibly help somebody who've been in a situation where their homegirls, 1 out of 10 having multiple kids, and they abuse choice to that point? Because you cannot possibly be on the market unless you abuse choice. These dudes will settle for anything. I don't understand how they can even talk. It's hard for me to rationalize such a person being in such a situation. I don't know. It's I have no hate or ill will, but I just harnessed my actual thing of choice myself. And once I knew the power of choice, I started making better decisions. It's like at some point, this stuff should have clicked in, but it's too many people who are like crashing onto the shores, even though there's lighthouses everywhere that show you that this stuff isn't gonna work. So
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
when you say these guys, what guys are you talking about?
I'm talking about these women who are in these circumstances.
Right.
The
Okay.
women who have abused choice, obviously, because you really can't be 35 plus with 2 kids thinking that somebody's gonna be waiting 90 days to, you know what I'm saying, do the thing when you bringing all that kind of stuff to the table. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't see it. It's such a bad look to even have to fix your mouth to even say some of these things that come out of these people's mouths. It just, I don't know, man. It's hard to think about. It's even hard to watch them do. And I'm like, there's some psychotic little episode thing going on out there. You got to vacuum them up off the street and make sure they're not doing nothing to their kids or whatnot, man.
Yeah.
I don't
All
know.
right.
Fair
All
question.
right. All right. We're gonna well, I'm about to pass it to Game Changer because it looks like Game Changer is blazing up a stream right now. So shout out to Game Changer. Y'all make sure y'all go over there and check out Game Changer. Go ahead and spam it out in the chat a few more times before we get up out of here. Thank you to Black Wolf Inc. and Black Wolf Inc. Ron Calhoun and Doris Miles for all sending cash apps today. I appreciate everybody who came through on the cash app and appreciate all of y'all. And Bernard trying to go back to bed. Hey, I got like probably 3 hours of sleep last night, so that's a possibility. I may take a nap when I get up off of here. But yeah, y'all make sure y'all go in here right on over to Game Changer. Don't just click off the video. Go ahead and click on Game Changer. We should definitely see you over there. And with that said, we about to get up out of here. Thank you everybody who super chatted, cash app, liked the stream, shared the stream, did anything to participate in the show today. And I will give a sort of shout out to the Broke Down Women. I did use some content from their channel today to do a response video to the male feminists they had on there, so I will acknowledge them, give a slight shout out. They weren't completely horrible that day. So yeah, they challenged them on a few points and they said, oh, interesting, you make a good point on some shit that they knew that wasn't true a few times, but for the most part they did an okay job. They challenged them on a few things. But anyway, no, they not to bust down. It's not to bust down a woman's perspective. It's the broke down the broke down women. Both might be true. All right. We're gonna get up out of here. I'd like to thank everybody. Yeah, we out of here. Peace.
Later.
Shout out to the Broke Down Women. And we